Welcome into Sportstime. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We're Sportstime. We're with you for the next 3 hours and a lot to get into today. A lot of college football talk, some NBA talk, a little bit of everything as we get closer to the end of this week and closer to college football season. ACC Media Days, Big Ten Media Days going on this week. We had American earlier this week, so when Greg Gaston joins us later, we'll have to talk a lot of Tiger football with him. But it really is. It gets me excited, Brett. A little peek behind the curtain for the listeners out there. We usually text in the mornings about kind of the guests we're going to have, what we're going to do on the show, that sort of thing. And every morning when I see a text that says all of these college football guests that we've started to get back in there, it gets me excited because I know football season, it is going to be here before we know it. So I'm super pumped about our guest today. But, Brett, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great. Brian almost said our time of year. Any time of year is our
That's
time
right.
of year.
Yes.
But I hope we throw everything into every sport. We have so many and such a diversity in this listening area, and it's one of the many things I love so much about it. But we do. And, Brian, I'm going to jump ahead. I don't need the sounder, and I'm going to have one when we do it.
Okay.
I'm going to start the show with the rare big number of the day, you mind?
Please, go for it.
24.
Okay.
After today and tonight, on this Thursday, today and tonight, we have no football. Starting next week, 24 straight Thursdays we have football.
Cow. That's
the
beautiful.
next time we don't, January 16th,
Wow.
2025.
Wow, that's beautiful right there, Brett. I mean, I don't think a better way to start the show than with that big number. That's incredible.
Next week, a week from tonight, the Hall of Fame game, and then regular Thursday night into August, the rest of August for NFL preseason games, and then the last Thursday of August 29th. A lot of SEC games that night. Arkansas plays that night in Little Rock, and all the way through with Thursday night football, college and pro, into college football playoffs. There's a college football playoff game on Thursday night, January 9th.
All right. I can get behind that. Why not?
So we've got the Gator Bowl is standalone on Thursday night, January 2nd. Great scheduling for them.
No, it's perfect for them. I love that.
Because we know we can put the test pattern of college football. You can put that with the NFL logo, but for college football, I think you could just put a logo of the Heisman Trophy up there and it'd draw some ratings.
Certainly, absolutely.
When those spring games do.
Oh, yeah, no. When you're in a good spot when spring games are drawn.
Yeah, you are. And we come on the air with breaking baseball news.
We do. Dylan Cease making some noise today. No-hitter against the Washington Nationals. A weird game, a game that had a short rain delay early in it, and then they come back out there. I didn't know if both the starters were going to come back out and remain in, but they both did, and Dylan Cease just about 30 minutes ago wrapped up the second no-hitter in Padres history, so that was really cool to watch.
Padres go 52 years, from 1969 to 2021, without a no-hitter, and now have their second in 3 years. And in that game, you're right, the lengthy rain delay, the Padres staked him to a 3-zip lead, and then a monsoon like we had in our area today as well, with with Mount Moriah being a river at one point during the day today. But that not a long delay, but enough of a delay. And you're right. You wonder, are you going to get him loose again and go back out? And he did, and he mowed him down. No hitter for Dylan Cease. The headline writers tomorrow in San Diego, they've got it easy. Yeah. It's got to be cease and desist, doesn't it? That's got to be the headline, doesn't it?
Oh, that's beautiful. I like it.
It's got to be.
That's really good. Now, I'll be honest. It was a bittersweet no-hitter for me watching it. Anytime I can see a no-hitter, I'm definitely a fan of it. But I had a 4-pick same-game parlay, 4-leg same-game parlay for that game. So here's what I had, okay? Patrick Corbin over 4 or more hits allowed, which that got there. I think
he was pretty good.
He was. They got exactly 4 hits on him, I believe. So that just got there. Dylan Cease, 6 or more strikeouts thrown. He very easily got there. And then Xander Bogaerts, 1 or more hit. That got there. The last leg of the parlay was C.J. Abrams, 1 or more hits He was the last batter up. It sounded good off his bat. I was like, oh my gosh, is this going to fall? It hung up in the air, and we get a no-hitter instead. So I'm fine with it. I will take my losing bet just so we can see a no-hitter. I'm definitely down for that.
Wow, that you were involved in that, and you're right.
Yeah.
He got pretty good lumber on it, and it did. It just was able to, because they were playing. Everybody plays so deep now.
Oh yeah, they definitely do.
Everybody just playing backs to the wall, but the right fielder able to get there. And in that game, the very rare official scoring putout of 4-8 putout bounced off the second baseman into the the right fielder.
Yeah.
No,
that was center fielder, I guess.
Center fielders.
Yeah. It was crazy, and kind of got lost in the sun, and then hit off his hands and jumped up, and you didn't know what was going to happen, but they were able to come down with it. So
you got to have plays like that.
Exactly. I was just about to say, anytime you get a no hitter, perfect game, anything like that, you've got to have something. Maybe not to the extent of that, because that was crazy. But there are big plays that happen whenever you get in a situation like that.
I didn't spoiler alert mess you up, did I? I didn't mess you up.
No. You
were there? Good.
No. You did help me, because I was not there. I had no idea what was going on. I was eating lunch and getting ready to come back up here, and I get a text from you. I was like, holy cow, I got to get over there and watch that. And so I was able to see the last 3 outs. So I appreciate you for texting
Padres
me.
needed it for the standings.
Sure did.
They're right in that crazy National League wild card mix.
No, they definitely are, and so that was a big win for them. And on the other side, I know that the Nationals are kind of the Nationals, but they're playing much better this year. They are a better team than they've been in the past. They've got some young prospects. I mentioned C.J. Abrams, who's been playing really, really well. James Wood, who they called up, has been giving them a good bat in left field. So I thought that was a fun game. Two really interesting teams.
Very anonymous Nationals lineup.
Yes. No, you can get confused rolling through that. Actually, how about this, Brett? And I didn't even know this. This shows you how much Nationals baseball I watch during a week. Supposedly, Juan Yepez is on a 15-game hit streak. Who knew? I mean, our old pal. Yeah, broken today. Our old pal Juan Yepez.
We saw him a lot at AutoZone Park.
We sure did. And so now a National. So that, I think, just shows you how unknown this Nationals lineup is.
Pretty light schedule all day today. Most of it in the daytime. Only 2 games a night. The Tigers, they have so many players in potential deals that they may lead the White Sox in potential deals.
Yeah, no, they definitely could. I mean, it's pretty much any name out there is out there for both of those teams. It really feels like both of them, could sell a lot, especially the White Sox, who go today against the Rangers. They're in the bottom of the 6th. Rangers with a 2-1 lead, and kind of same old with the White Sox. Last night we saw it again, bottom of the 5th. White Sox are up. Rangers get a big bottom of the 5th inning and kind of use that to get a pretty big win. And so it's interesting. It feels like into this weekend is when we're going to see a lot of these trades go down, and especially when we get to the trade deadline. But a lot of good storylines with some of these teams. Like you mentioned, the Tigers, and they were winners today over the Guardians, but they've got a lot of names that could be in trade conversations, so it's gonna be. And then I saw Garrett Crochet. Now some people kind of questioning how much teams will want him because of his availability and how long he can go deep into games, and that could hurt his market come trade deadline time.
Yeah, and the White Sox, just about every young pitcher they have, potentially in a deal. Do you have anything on the U.S. women's soccer team leading 3-0?
That's a great question there, Brett.
51st minute against Zambia.
Shame on me that I don't have that game pulled up.
Or is it Zambia?
Zambia, yeah. I believe. I don't know. But shame on me for not having that up. I pride myself in someone that if Team USA is playing, I am watching, and unfortunately, I did not have that one up. But you're right; they're up 3-0. We may or may not have a Olympic soccer parlay going right now that could really use Team USA winning by more than 2 goals. So right now we're looking good. A lot of game left to play, Brett. So we're feeling good right now, and I think that's the last thing we need to win that parlay. So maybe a little get back. 90 minutes. They're in the 50th minute right now. So
you're in good shape.
We're feeling good right now. Just do not need to let that foot off the gas, I guess you could say.
If you want to seed your bet over, I'll take it.
Okay. All right. Deal. Deal. But no, it's
I don't know
been,
if that's legal.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, I haven't watched as much Olympics today as I watched yesterday.
In fact, I know it's not because we just crossed state lines, so we were just
Especially forget about the state lines. That's
just fun and frivolity in the afternoon. Come on, Feds.
That's right. Yeah, no, we're not doing anything over here.
Did you see where Bill Bender and the Sporting News All-Star panel, they did a great piece and named Jesse Owens as the all-time greatest Olympian?
Really?
Hard to argue with.
Yeah, I mean that's a great one. I did not see that, but
it's a fun story. And,
wow.
And Ohio State, Jesse Owens, and what he did and what he stood for, almost impossible to argue. Michael Phelps could make a very strong case.
Sure, and I just pulled it up. Michael Phelps second, and hard to argue.
Ali.
Let's see, Muhammad Ali.
Then Cassius Clay. Has to be up there.
It's got to be up here, but unless I missed him.
Bruce Jenner would be up there.
Yeah.
A number of decathletes, I think, would be up there.
Certainly.
Was it just United States Olympians? Or was it?
Yeah, just United States Olympians.
But Joe Frazier could be up there for boxing, too.
Sure, definitely. So a good list.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan could be on there. Simone Biles is fifth on their list. See, Katie Ledecky is 8th on their list, so a couple of current Olympians in the top 10.
Edwin Moses could be on there.
He definitely could. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not seeing.
Sugar Ray Leonard could be on there.
Certainly could. I haven't seen any of those guys yet.
Wow, what a list.
Yeah, this is a really good list. Cassius Clay, 26th.
Is that right?
Boxing, yes. So he's 26th. Yeah, good list. Bruce Jenner's 31st. So a really good list. Definitely go check that out because that's. I wish I'll probably circle back to this later tonight when I have more time because they
Carl Lewis on it.
I did see Carl Lewis, and now he's number 3. So he's
3.
Yeah. Yes. So the top 3 is Jesse Owens, Michael Phelps, and Carl Lewis. That's the top 3.
Jackie Joyner Kersey.
Number 4.
Wow.
How about that? And then we already mentioned
I promise I don't have
Simone
it in front of
Biles.
I did read it earlier,
sure.
but I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, no, this is good. But I definitely want to go back because they put a little blurb
Mark
under
Spitz
every
should
person.
Be up there.
6th, I think. Yeah. 6th. So you're nailing the top 10, Brett.
I read the story earlier.
Okay, all right. I didn't know you were just guessing. You're going back Olympic greats and just like, oh, this guy should be high up there.
But that a lot of those names I rattled off. That's what formed in my brain to make me a Summer Olympics much more than Winter Olympics. The reason why I'm not a Winter Olympics fan, Brian, you know me very well. The listeners know me very well. The key word in Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
Winter.
That's right. Yes. Cold. It doesn't go well with you, Brett. You're not a
and
cold
I don't
guy.
know those sports.
Right. Yes. It's much different. Honestly, I mean, I'm definitely more of a Summer Olympic guy, and other than hockey, like it's not a ton of winter sports that I much care about. But I do love winter hockey. But man, Summer Olympics, I'll watch everything. I think it's all
and
great.
Even back in the day, and largely the Olympic network in the day was ABC.
Sure,
they've all had them. CBS has even had it, but NBC now that's their brand. The network of the Olympics, and they have them about as far as the eye can see. But even back then, we weren't getting the hours of coverage for winter as we did for Summer Olympics.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm excited. Tomorrow night, I guess really it'll be live during the day tomorrow, but they'll show it on NBC tomorrow night, the opening ceremonies, which will be a ton of fun, and then we'll really get into these Olympic events come Saturday. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. A jam-packed show over these next 3 hours. At 3:30, Brett Ciancia from Pick 6 Preview. Go give him a follow at Pick 6 Previews on Twitter. I'm sure you know him. If you're a college football fan, you've sure to have seen him on Twitter if you're active over there. He's going to join us, talk college football, his Pick 6 Preview magazine for this upcoming season, who he has in his top 25, who he has in his college football playoffs, some teams that could surprise this year.
Mount Rushmore of Bretts that love college football.
Okay.
Brett Norsworthy, Brett Ciancia, Brett Beard, and Memphian Brett Edgerton at ESPN.
I mean, that's a really good one. I can't argue with that list of Bretts. A good Mount Rushmore there. So I'm excited to talk to Brett at 3:30. 3:45, we'll talk some more NFL as we just continue to get news from training camp, everything that's going on, some of these holdouts, some of these hold-ins. We'll talk a lot of NFL at 3:45. 4 o'clock, Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show will join us to talk the NBA. Plenty to talk about with him as TNT tried to match Amazon's streaming deal. They decided to stick with Amazon, and now it sounds like we could have some lawsuits brewing over this. We got to get his thoughts on that. Also, Team USA, we haven't talked to him since a couple of scares for the red, white, and blue, so we'll get his thoughts on this team going into the Olympics, some other off-season NBA news as well. 4:30, we'll talk baseball. Got to talk more about the no-hitter. Limited slate of games today, and obviously trade deadline still looming right around the corner. 4:45, big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Greg Gaston. He'll join us to talk Tigers. A lot of football talk with him and also some basketball. At 5:30, we were supposed to talk to him yesterday, Stefan Krajisnik, who covers Ohio State football for Cleveland.com. He's up at Big Ten Media Days, and it gets crazy up there, so he was not able to join us yesterday. He'll join us today, nice enough to give us some time this afternoon at 5:30. So we'll talk to him at 5:30, then 5:45. We'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. But let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Summer, it's here, and it's time to party, and Family Leisure has you covered with great deals like the 24-foot above-ground pool for $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and robotic cleaners, 20% off. Select in-stock patio furniture up to 50% off. Play gyms up to $1,000 off. Patio umbrellas, 20% off, and the 4-person hot tubs, only $29.99.99. And don't forget about the discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while supplies last. So head over to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
He's Brian, I'm Brett, and we're with you until 6 o'clock. We're Sports Time, and we want you to be a part of our show by texting or calling 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. And all our guests will appear on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. This hour brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but stop by the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, Brett, my top story of the day is something that we have already discussed in this first 15 minutes or so. It is the no-hitter from Dylan Cease earlier today as the Padres get a 3-0 win over the Nationals. Dylan Cease records the second no-hitter in San Diego Padres history, and the first one was set not long ago by Joe Musgrove in 2021, so definitely really cool to see. He did walk 3 batters, but 9 strikeouts and did not give up a hit. A really good outing for him, a really good performance by the Padres, and like you said, Brett, a game that they need to win as they're second in the NL West right now with a 55-50 record, so they really need that. But on the other side, Nationals, I don't think are as bad as they've been in previous years. Yes, they're 47-56, but when you look at this, it feels like they have some promising young players, maybe some promising young pitchers, except I trust the young position players more than I do the young pitchers, but it definitely looks like the Nationals are heading in the right direction. But a really good outing for Dylan Cease, and made some history, not just with the no-hitter, but also just what he's done in recent outings. More on that later during Big Number of the Day.
That was the second no-hitter this year in Major League Baseball. No fooling. The other one came on April Fools, Monday, April 1st, of this year, 2024. And remember last year, sometimes it comes in bunches. Yep. Last year we had 4 in about a 42-day span. That one today was the 324th all-time recognized by Major League Baseball. My top story, thanks to nohitters.com for all that information.
Yes.
And that site is just
man.
as addictive
It sure
as M&M's. It is great to go to. My top story, Steve Kerr says it's time to raise the intensity for Team USA. I agree with him. I think it's time he raises his voice and his intensity. This is on him. 4-time champ, that's undeniable. Great coach, we certainly recognize that. But without gold, he will have failed over these last 2 summers with USA basketball.
Yeah.
That was bad in the Philippines.
It was.
Anything shy of a gold, it's bad in Paris. It's gold or bust, and he's got to be. His team's got to be on the medal stand.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day is basketball related, but it has nothing to do with the Olympic team. It's this situation we've got going on with the NBA and TNT. We know that originally Amazon Prime was announced as kind of that third tier of for streaming with the NBA. They were going to use obviously Amazon Prime to stream a lot of the in-season tournament, a weekly regular season game, and then alternate playoffs with NBC each year. But then TNT was able to match that deal with Amazon. They could have matched any of them, but the cheapest was Amazon, so they tried to match Amazon to retain the NBA on TNT, but the NBA declined it. They turned it down and said they were going to stay with Amazon, and now it sounds like TNT could go down the route of trying to file a lawsuit against the NBA because they say that they have a right to match it, but it sounds like the NBA really wanted to go with Amazon Prime, kind of what they bring in terms of streaming and being able to stream multiple games at the same time, where TNT doesn't have that capability, even with Max, because Warner Brothers owns Max and TNT. They still would not be able to reach the type of people that Amazon Prime reaches. We know with what Thursday Night Football has done with Amazon Prime. I mean, I think they do a really good job of promoting it, because anytime, whether you're a football fan or not, if you log on to Amazon during the football season on a Thursday night just to buy whatever on Amazon, there is a banner on top of the website that says live Titans versus 49ers or whatever the Thursday Night Football game is.
It's called big money.
Exactly. And so everybody, it feels like, in the United States uses Amazon and are on Amazon frequently. So it feels like the NBA knows what they want to do, but this could get ugly, especially if TNT decides they want to try to sue the NBA.
My not top story is NFL. Of all the hold-ins and hold-outs, the best player involved is Trent Williams, the best player holding out. He's better than Ayuk. He's better than Diva CD. He's the best O-lineman in the league and maybe one of the best 5 of all time. Brock Purdy wants both Ayuk and Trent Williams happy.
Yeah.
But if he only had to have one happy, I bet it's the big guy in the offensive line.
Yeah, that would probably be my bet on that. If you gotta have one, I would definitely rather take the guy that's protecting me rather than the guy catching passes.
We gotta ask both Brett Ciancia and Stefan Krajisnik that will join us today about today at the Big Ten. Did you catch any of it and see kind of it got a little bit quarrelsome with the media and Dan Lanning over NIL, and I thought Dan Lanning appeared to be too defensive about it. When all you have to do to shut down NIL conversation is go, ladies and gentlemen, it's legal.
Yeah.
I'm playing by the rules of the game.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. We've kind of talked about that.
He sounded like he was doing something wrong.
Yeah, no, we've talked about that
Jimbo
before.
a few years ago.
Right, and I didn't hear this at Big Ten. Like I said, I have not paid much attention to Big Ten Media Days, but I didn't catch it. But we've talked about this week of how a lot of these coaches that are really having success in the NIL world, it feels like media members are kind of attacking them of like, well, who do you think you are going out and getting all these players in the transfer portal?
1990
and giving them all this money. Like, hey, according to the NCAA, I can do that now. And if that's how I can build a competitive team and I got the money to do it, why would you not do it? I mean, it makes no sense.
What happened to most of the media for player liberation and freedom?
Yeah, I mean, because that's what the thing was before NIL became a thing.
player
wanted all
liberation,
these guys.
freedom, and
Absolutely.
making money.
Exactly. So you're right. It is very weird how kind of these things have played out. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break. And when we come back, we're talking a whole lot of college football with Brett Ciancia from Pick 6 Previews.
Smoke is our sauce.
What is the Central Barbecue slogan? What are we playing?
Well, I just think that we don't emphasize often enough that even though Central Barbecue offers a variety of sauces at all of their many locations, Central Barbecue's barbecue doesn't even really need the sauce.
We should mention that more often. Central Barbecue doesn't take any shortcuts. The barbecue at Central Barbecue is slow-smoked Memphis style for 24 hours to make it so flavorful you really don't need sauce.
That was my point. Well, boy, do they have great sauces.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying I'm going to go sauce-free at Central Barbecue. I'm just saying I could.
Again, exactly my point. Look at my copy. It's the first thing I said. You just hijacked the commercial.
See how it feels?
Listen up, I got Marty McNate on the line at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown. Hey McNate, how far back you moving on prices?
Way back, Randy. Doc told me you can take your pick. 2024 Teos SE or 2024 Jetta Sport. Gotta go back in time to the good old days at $275 a month.
Great Scott, McNate. Gossett Volkswagen on Germantown is really moving prices back.
That's right, Randy.
And I hear you got the 2024 Atlas Peak Editions going for $5,000 off MSRP, or you can get 1.9 for 60 months.
That's right, Randy. Your future's whatever you make of it, so let's get to Gossett Volkswagen Germantown.
Ask for Marty to find out how much he can move you back on price. Hey, Marty, hit us with that Gossett Volkswagen locator. 7420
Winchester Road or shop online at GossettVWG.com.
Hi, I'm April Rose, and we all know about the speed of sound. But have you ever thought about the sounds of speeding? If you drive over the speed limit, there are lots of sounds that you might hear. You could hear the sound of your vehicle crashing, the sound of first responders desperately trying to save you. You could even hear the sound of people crying at a funeral. Because if you drive over the speed limit, you could do damage that's beyond repair. One way or another, speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. For nearly 2 decades, we've installed some of the best roof systems across the Mid-South. To the tens of thousands of clients we've served, we are honored. So many of you call our team at Brian Elder Roofing your roofers. Our team is dedicated to serving you and keeping your family safe, dry, and mold-free. The recent hailstorms have caused massive damage, and many of these will go unnoticed for years, even though the golf ball-sized hail we just experienced in the Mid-South compromises even the best-built roof system. Whether we find damage or not, your photos are securely stored for future reference. Call Brian Elder Roofing today for a total evaluation of your entire roof system free. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. Call me at 901-867-0303. That's 901-867-0303. Or visit us online at brianelderroofing.com.
Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking the bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli locations at Ridgeway in the Parkplace Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Highland Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats, Sportsworthy, and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and really excited about our next guest joining us to talk some college football. Brett Ciancia from Pick Six Previews. Go give him a follow at Pick Six Previews on Twitter, and just perfect. I'm telling you, if you are a college football fan and you are on Twitter, you know Pick Six Previews. He's a Heisman voter on the All-American Committee and also the author of the Pick Six Previews magazine, which is the #1 most accurate college football preview from 2013 to 2023. Brett joins us now. Brett, thanks so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about the Pick Six Preview and what people can expect to find in that.
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me on. It's the best time of year here. Everybody's undefeated. Everybody's excited for the upcoming season. Optimism is high. But, yeah, I'm really excited about this 2024 edition with so much change in the sport, with the conference realignment, the transfers. But, so about Pick Six Previews, I launched it in 2012 as a college football preview magazine. It's a one-man show here. I dig into all 70 Power 5 teams myself. I'm calling head coaches, calling coordinators, listening to local podcasts, local radio, watching spring games. Very comprehensive. I'm addicted to finding all the data points I can and put together the most complete, complex college football preview magazine you can find. And I try and strike a balance between the data, the numbers, but then also the X's and O's and the scheme and putting it into a readable format. Really paint the story of each program. So that's the goal with it. And like you mentioned there, the accuracy title is a point of pride. That's a one-man show. I'm taking down these other legacy brands with hundreds of writers. So, really excited to be on and talking SEC with you guys.
Brett, you do it. You have done it, and I'm telling you, this means it's really close when we first get you on. I reached out a few weeks ago, and you said a little bit early, and I got a lot to do with getting my preview ready. Let's check back as we get a little closer and into these media days, and now today we get you, and a really nice endorsement of you today, Chris Felica, that everybody knows in college football circles, the Bear that was on Game Day forever, and now on Big Noon with Fox. Today he tweeted out, "Spiral bound for all the bonus points. Appreciate everything you do at Pick Six Previews." That's quite an endorsement. And you don't bury the lead. Right there on the cover, you unveil your college football playoff for this coming year.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great endorsement from the Bear. I'll be on his podcast next week. I can't wait for that. It's a great honor. I spoke about all the change in this season coming up with the realignment and the transfer portal. Forgot to mention that bracket is now tripled in size. So we go from 4 teams to 12. And, I slapped that on the cover there along with my top 40 board for the upcoming season. And, for the local listeners, you notice Ole Miss there in the bracket. So I think that they're in for a banner season in Oxford. And the SEC, I think, will get 4 teams in as the strongest conference. So they're going to attack the bracket.
When you heard bracket and you heard expanded playoff, did you want 12 at-larges, or did you want the designated conference champions, and you have Boise State as your group of 5 team?
Yeah, well, I was always actually a defender of the 4-team playoff. I know that was an unpopular opinion. I like the sanctity of the regular season, the importance of those games in November, and I do think you'll still have some of that. It might water that down a little bit. But to be fair, it does add in a lot more incentive for those other teams. The teams that might have been ranked 10th or 11th or 12th, those become play-in games. So it's going to be exciting. The on-campus games are going to be really electric, too. If it stands as I have it, Oxford will be hosting a college football playoff game there in December, which would be incredible. So do I like the automatic bids? I do at this point. If it was just 4, I wouldn't have liked it because I think that sometimes the runner-up in a conference might be better than the champ of another. But if you're going all the way to 12 spots, I think you got to reward the 4 champs and then go 8 at large from there. So I think I like what they've done with it so far if it had to expand.
Brett, you mentioned Ole Miss in there, and 4 SEC teams. You have Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, and Alabama as the 4 SEC teams in your college football playoffs. Who would be that next team or next couple of teams just outside in the SEC that could really kind of make that push this year?
Yeah, well, Tennessee is my 5th in the SEC. I really like what they have on offense, as always, with Josh Heupel. His system is just unstoppable once it gets rolling. They have a 5-star arm there with Nico coming into his first season as a starter. I also like that they developed their defense, too, and their defensive line coach calls it the best defensive line in the country. Maybe that's a little bit hyperbole, but it's definitely top 5. I think that James Pierce is a future first-rounder on the edge, a tough front 7 overall, and it's a complete team here. So I would put Tennessee in the 5 spot. From there, you have some big recruiters like LSU and Texas A&M that might contend, albeit in a transition year for A&M. Missouri's really the dark horse again, and a lot of people have them in their top 4, their top 5 in the SEC. I'm selling them a little bit more than most because of their defensive transition they're going through at the coordinator spot and all their NFLers that they lost. So I'm selling Missouri, but it's a really deep conference. 9 SEC teams in my top 20. So it's just the best teams in the country. It's, they land the best recruits. They send the most of the pros. So what do you think happens those 4 years in between? It's the best team.
Brett, Bryant and I both have been defenders of Quinn Ewers in his comment about Texas when they play somebody that's everybody's biggest game. And yesterday, James Franklin made a little news talking about, at Penn State, we go 10-2, 11-1. That's what everybody expects, and then they're a little disappointed. I didn't think either comment made by James Franklin or Quinn Ewers was off. And then today at Big Ten Media Days, Dan Lanning almost appeared defensive when questioned about NIL. I don't think he should. I think he can shut the room down by, hey, fellas, it's all legal now. I don't have to stand up here and defend something that's legal.
Right, exactly. 5-10 years ago, that might have been a touchy topic, but yeah, now it's the highest bidder wins, and that's just all it is. It's fan boosters, it's big corporations, in their case, Nike, Oregon. I mean, they basically have an unlimited NIL budget going forward, so if you're Dan Lanning, you might as well promote that and start using that, and he has. And you look at their recruiting and the transfer ranks, they've really elevated their profile as a result. So he's doing a fantastic job up there for a new head coach, and they're poised for a playoff run themselves. But, yeah, I don't think that they should hide from that. In fact, going forward, that's really a selling point for a program.
You have Oregon in the playoffs. You have Penn State in the playoffs as well from the Big Ten. Who was around college football? Who was the best team you left out?
Probably Michigan. They're right there as my 12th team in the country, but they're supplanted by the non-AQ champ Boise State, which could also go to Memphis too. I know they're 1A, 1B battling for that last spot, but Michigan checks in next there, and then you have Tennessee and LSU, which we touched on. Clemson and Kansas State are in their conference races. They might contend. And then you have teams where one side of the ball is figured out, but the other is struggling, like Iowa's defense, USC's offense. So I think that we found the best 12 teams here, or at least the best 11 plus Boise State. And then I would argue Michigan and Tennessee. But with Michigan, the problem is they lost almost their entire roster. Starting lineup and their head coach after their title run. So definitely a transitional year. I think one offensive starter returns out of 11, and I think only a handful on defense. So for as dominant as they were last year, I think they take a step back given the transition.
Yeah. Another team you have in your 12-team college football playoff is Notre Dame, and that's one that's going to be very interesting because unless they decide to join a conference at some point, they can't, in this current format, be a top 4 team and get that automatic bye. What do you expect this year for Marcus Freeman's team? And obviously they went out and added Riley Leonard over this offseason. How much does he play into them being so high on your board, and kind of what went into you picking them to be in that 12-team college football playoff?
Yeah, well, it starts last year. They were better than their record showed according to my game grader formula and all my per-play metrics, all those. They were really a stat giant. You would look at their profile and think that they were a lot better than their record showed. And, I mean, look at the Ohio State game. They were 1 inch away there. So I think they were better than they showed last year. That's the start. And then from there, Marcus Freeman has elevated their recruiting. They're now consistently in that top 10, that top 8 of recruiting. So it's a blue-chip roster. I like what they did. You mentioned with Leonard coming in. They hit last time with Hartman from Wake Forest. I think they're going to hit again here with Leonard. Offensive line is a strong point, always has been for them, even though they replaced a couple NFLers. And then the defense really was the difference maker for me. A strong front 7, some All-American candidates in the secondary. And the last bit is schedule, where, remember, back in the 14 playoff, Notre Dame almost had to go undefeated. Now they have a couple mulligans built in. The question is whether they have 1 mulligan or 2. Maybe 10-2 might make a playoff run. But I think they go 11-1, and that's definitely solid enough to make a top 12. The road trip at A&M is tough. Florida State will be a tough one, but I think they get through here 11-1 and get a spot.
If they lost opening night at College Station, is that the season eliminator for them, or can they scramble back over the weeks ahead?
Well, if they lose that opener, they better win 11 straight because I don't think they'll get a second, a second mulligan there. They would have to go 11-1, I think. So, and when you look at it, it is doable. So after the A&M game, it's Northern Illinois, Purdue, Miami, Ohio, Stanford, Georgia Tech, Navy, Army, and Virginia. None of these will be ranked. The only ranked games would be Louisville, potentially, Florida State, and at USC, potentially. So I think it's very manageable, very doable, and they have the player personnel to do it.
There's been a lot of talk this off-season, obviously, about conference realignment, a lot of talk about the Big Ten and the SEC. But over in the ACC, 3 new teams joined that conference, SMU, Cal, and Stanford. How do you think those 3 teams, specifically SMU, who's going from Group of 5 up to Power 5, how do you think those 3 teams will fare in year 1 in the ACC?
Yeah, well, quickly with the Bay Area team, Stanford is still in a serious rebuild, I should say. They're far behind. It's going to take another year or two. They also aren't able to use the transfer portal because of their academic standards. So they're a distant last place in the ACC. Cal will be competitive based off their defense alone under Justin Wilcox, always a stout defense. Really, the interesting one, I think, is SMU, making the jump up from the AAC. And we had 4 examples of this last year of teams moving up to the Power 5. You had BYU, Cincy, UCF, and Houston in the Big 12. It was tough sledding for them. It was growing pains. They went 4-24 against the legacy Big 12 teams last year. So I think SMU will have a similar transitional type year. The issue why I think they'll do a little bit better is how they stack their trenches. They brought in 7 Power 5 defensive linemen, and they're a very veteran team. So they'll have a better transition than the 4 last year, but still only checking in 7th in the ACC for me. Top 40.
Brett, Bryant, I've been looking for the right word with Ole Miss for if they don't make the college football playoff. Now, of course, an exception is, major injury, something like that. But if they don't have that and they don't make the college football playoff, and you can't use the word disappointing, because disappointing is somebody ordering a steak well done. You can't use the word disappointing. If they don't make the college football playoff and it's not a boatload of injuries, what would be your word for it?
Oof. Well, I don't know if I could hone it down to just one word, but really what it would do, it would break the model of the heavy transfer game, because Lane Kiffin, he called himself the portal king, and he certainly backed that up. It's incredible what he's done. 3 straight top 2 transfer classes. It was number 1, number 2, and number 1 again. 17 blue chippers brought in from the portal the last 2 years. So, that was the whole strategy. Was Ole Miss was not a top 5 high school recruiter, but could they close the gap from the portal with the top transfer classes every year? And so that's the hypothesis. That's the thesis. Let's see if it proves out. Because if not, then I think that goes back to the root of you need to be an elite high school recruiter. But I'm intrigued. I think it's going to work for them because these are proven players coming in. These aren't just backups or 5 stars elsewhere. These are all-American caliber players, all SEC guys. Ole Miss got the most players on my all-transfer team. I had to put that in there nowadays, a transfer team. 7 coming in on the all-transfer SEC team. So I think it's going to work out, but it would really disprove the model if not.
Last week at SEC Media Days, the executive director of the Senior Bowl, the Reese's Senior Bowl, Jim Nagy, said Ole Miss had 23 players that he thinks will be drafted. Maybe not all next spring, but over the next couple of drafts, he thinks right now they have 23 that will be drafted by the NFL.
Yeah, well, it's a very packed roster. In the book this year, I added a little graphic there to show the 2025 mock NFL consensus, and that's kind of right there. Ole Miss is 8th on the list. They have 10 projected draft picks in the 2025 mock right now. I know we're a ways to go, and I know that his number probably includes the 26 and 27 drafts too. But think of that. If they could land 10 guys on the NFL draft stage next year, that would be definitely a program record and would prove out everything Kiffin has done.
Yeah. Well, Brett, this has been a lot of fun talking some college football with you. Before we let you go, remind people about where they can find your 2024 preview.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's only available on pick6previews.com. That's all spelled out, PICKSIX previews.com. And we have the hard copy magazine edition this year again, as well as a digital PDF. And also, when you buy the hard copy, you get emailed the digital also. So for the 2 days that it's in transit with USPS, you have access to the document right away. So really excited for this year. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys, and hope to talk again in the season.
Yeah, Brett, thanks again, and let's definitely do this again soon.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you, Brett, very much. How great is that?
Oh, that was
it
awesome.
always is.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of if SEC Media Days is kind of the kickoff, that really is when we have him on. And when he's getting the magazines out, and it's laid out in just such a readable form. I don't want to run down anybody else's magazine. Everybody's out there working hard, but in my opinion, this is the best.
Yeah, no, like I said, I mean, if you are a college football fan, I think you know about Pick 6 previews. Maybe you didn't know it was Brett Ciancia that was the person behind the account, but he always puts out great stuff on his Twitter page and some really good stuff. I'm excited. I haven't been able to get into the 2024 preview just yet, but I'm going to, and I'm really excited about it.
And he talked about it. He fought the good fight at staying at 4. He thinks it's going to be some colossal blowouts in those quarterfinals. That 1 versus 8 and 2 versus 7. But here we are, and we're going to get more college football, and that's in the past. But he liked the 4. He even liked the 2.
Yeah, wow. So he definitely liked the 4 a lot better than 12 teams. But, like you said, that's where we are, and we're going to get more college football, and, we're going to enjoy it when those games are here. I'm sure of that. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, a lot of NFL news as teams are in camp. So let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk a lot of NFL.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of cashew crunch, of heavenly hash, of turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown. And in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
All 650 acquisition fee, $20,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte RE794066, MSRP 21820, Telluride RG543666, MSRP 39835, EV9 R602 29603, MSRP 61035. Includes all rebates and incentives and PF 695. Includes tax, title, license, registration, and fees. Must finance through Hyundai with approved credit valid through 7/31/24. Dealer stock only.
I got Jeff Allen on the line, Dawson Kia, South Mount Moriah. Hey, dude, you ready to rock our world?
You better believe it, Randy. How about 41 MPG Highway in a 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $199 a month, $37.99 due at signing. 2024 Kia Telluride S, $379 per month, $39.99 due at signing. And 304 EPA estimated range for $389 a month in a 2024 Kia EV9 Lite. Or get 0% for 48 months, $49.99 due at signing, all 24-month lease.
Plus, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Or online, KiaMountMoriah.com.
Last year's RV trip, we met a couple with the same bumper sticker. What are the odds?
Your cousin isn't a good storyteller.
He was a podiatrist, or was it a pharmacist?
You don't say.
Oh, I can't remember.
But she owns an RV protected by Progressive, and you don't. So until you get your own RV, her stories are the most interesting stories you've ever heard.
Wow, interesting.
And when you do get your own RV, save money by bundling it with your home, auto, or other vehicles with Progressive.
Oh, anesthesiologist. He was an anesthesiologist. That's right.
Insurance company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
One of the key things that separates Genesis Diamonds from other jewelry stores is nobody's paid on commission. Vice President Nina Abraham says Genesis Diamond experts are never incentivized to get you to spend more or to buy something that's not in your budget.
Doesn't matter how much you spend. If you spend $500 or $50,000, their main focus is finding the perfect engagement ring or recent jewelry or sales tactics.
So when you walk into Genesis Diamonds, you can relax, take your time, get the education you deserve, and make a decision that's best for you, not the salesperson.
They can trust us. It's a huge, huge difference when you know that person is just going to focus on what I want, what I am looking for, not what they want to sell.
No pressure, no risk, no pricing games, no nonsense. At Genesis, it's about making you happy.
It's for life. It's a customer for life. It's a relationship for life.
Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes and honorary American Instinct.
I'm Ina Abraham, and my accent is always on value.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stack Snoresworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome back in Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. And Brett, I got to be honest, it's one of my favorite things about training camp, especially when it opens. And I think we've talked about this earlier this week before camp actually opened, but you're a day in, you're 2 days in, guys are getting after it, a fight breaks out, and that's the end of the season. I mean, all the people on Twitter, everybody comes out and is freaking out about fights. I saw yesterday there was one big one at the Texans camp. Today there was one at Chiefs camp. I mean, it's one of my favorite parts of training camp starting.
Bill Belichick wouldn't allow it.
Oh, no, not at all.
He would not allow camp fights, and even when they had the scrimmages with other teams, he wouldn't allow it. He goes, we're not doing that. That's not what we're about. How about it? The Indianapolis Colts saying they want to kind of throttle back Anthony Richardson running.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Obviously,
that's part of his game.
Yeah, that's a big part of his game, and what he can do with his legs, extend plays, and get out of the pocket. But at the same time, I guess there is that fear there of injury, because that's exactly how he got injured last year and had a really good start to the season, then gets injured trying to run the ball and is out the rest of the year. So, it's one of those tricky situations where, you want to, and it's kind of like the same conversation we have with Paul Skeens and how the Pirates have been using him to start his career of, you want to protect your player, but also you don't want to do anything that can change the way he plays, and I fear that's kind of what the Colts are doing with Anthony Richardson.
And the rules now, the quarterback really he can't get hit hardly at all in the pocket like they used to. But when they turn into running back, there's not any protection for him, and that is how he hurt his shoulder last year.
Yeah, so it's definitely interesting. I'm sure that they're going to keep him, very protected, and you probably won't see a ton of him in preseason games. Sure, a little bit, obviously, with all of that time off. You want to see him in,
only
game
4
action.
games last year.
Yeah, it's crazy, and was really good in those 4 games. I think impressed a lot of people. I feel like I remember us talking to Bo last year, and Bo even saying this is impressive. This has surprised me how well he's played starting out, and then before we knew it, was gone before we could even really learn about him in the NBA and kind of enjoy watching him with the Colts.
I think the Colts have a clue.
Yeah, no, I think so.
I don't know how much they want to play 59-year-old Joe Flacco and Gardner Minshew, though.
No. But, I mean, when you when you talk about backup quarterbacks in recent years, those are two that have, been decent, It's
the reason why they're backup quarterbacks.
That's right. You don't want to have to turn to them, but, it's not the you don't feel terrible if you have to turn to him.
I think you have a lot of fun with Gardner Minshew mania.
Sure.
You don't make any noise in January.
No. You definitely don't. And then speaking of Beau Marchant, some other big news, I guess not big news, but news nonetheless from Steelers camp. Russell Wilson has been ruled day-to-day with a calf injury after missing the start of camp. So Justin Fields has been taking the QB1 reps for the Pittsburgh Steelers to start camp. So that's going to be something interesting to watch. And obviously there you've got Russell Wilson, who we know what he is as an NFL quarterback, maybe some questions after recent years. And then you've got the younger guy in Justin Fields that it just feels like it hasn't worked out for him when he was in Chicago.
It's just today. I don't want to make too much of it, but so often in sports, the past really is prologue. Remember how Russell Wilson got his break in Seattle. They had signed the big free agent, Matt Flynn.
That's right.
And then Russell Wilson just pure won the job, and the rest is history. Won a Super Bowl and should have won two. Mike Tomlin's the kind of guy. Now, it's July 25th.
Sure.
Mike Tomlin, week one, is going to start a guy that's been in there practicing.
That's right, yes. And, it's going to be interesting because I think, both these guys very clearly have had plenty of reps as a starting quarterback. And so I don't think you're worried about throwing either of them out there as your starting quarterback. And so, I was really surprised Beau Marchant posted. First off, if you just want to see, whether you're a Steelers fan or not, if you just want to get in the training camp feeling, Beau Marchant's the perfect person to follow. He's got so many videos and stuff posted over on Twitter. I was surprised how many people had Justin Fields jerseys, Pittsburgh Steelers Justin Fields jerseys, getting autographs and stuff after practice. I believe it was earlier today I saw it. Steelers are excited about what they might have in both these quarterbacks.
He could win that job.
He definitely could. And I was listening to a podcast the other day. Chase Daniels was on, and he is a big fan of Justin Fields and kind of said, would love to see him in another system outside of Chicago. Didn't really like what Chicago did with him, and that maybe here in Pittsburgh, that depending on maybe Russell gets a year or two, and then after that maybe Justin Fields is really able to hit the ground running as the starting quarterback for the Steelers. But it's definitely fun seeing all these videos, all these pictures from NFL training camp. And next Thursday, hard to believe, we'll have the Hall of Fame game. But let's go ahead and wrap up our first hour. And when we come back to start our 4 o'clock hour, we're talking a whole lot of NBA with Keith Smith. He joins us next.
Make your next meal your last with the Big Green Egg in East Memphis Heights. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ready to cook in only 15 minutes with cook temperatures from below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between. Change your at-home cooking experience for life with our unmatched all-night wood-fired grill flavor that has our customers raving. Get your Big Green Egg and all our accessories at East Memphis Heights on the corner of South Light Station and Post Road.
It's the season for fun, sun, and savings at the Volkswagen Savvy Summer Sales Event. Going on now at Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike, and I've got Jason, the main man Marshall, on the phone to give you the lowdown.
Randy, I've got the 2024 Taos SE, $299 a month, 36 miles per gallon on the highway. 2024 Atlas Peak Editions, $5,000 off or just 0.9% APR for 60 months. And the new 2024 Tiguan, $3,000 off or just 1.9% APR for 60 months. And the list of savings goes on and on at Gossett Volkswagen on Covenant Pike. And remember, no reasonable offer will be refused.
Summer fun has begun. Ask for Jason, the main man Marshall, at Gossett Volkswagen, 1875 Covington Pike, or online at GossettDWMemphis.com.
Where we're charging for it and charging less every day.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342.
There's no place like home, Town Village.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. For nearly 2 decades, we've installed some of the best roof systems across the Mid-South. To the tens of thousands of clients we've served, we're honored. So many of you call our team at Brian Elder Roofing your roofers. Our team is dedicated to serving you and keeping your family safe, dry, and mold-free. The recent hailstorms have caused massive damage, and many of these will go unnoticed for years, even though the golf ball-sized hail we just experienced in the Mid-South compromises even the best-built roof system. Whether we find damage or not, your photos are securely stored for future reference. Call Brian Elder Roofing today for a total evaluation of your entire roof system free. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. Call me at 901-867-0303. That's 901-867-0303. Or visit us online at
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
Summertime's finally here, and that means it's time to party. Lucky for you, Family Leisure is having a summertime to party sale. Now, what's all included in this party sale? Practically everything. 24-foot above ground pools for as little as $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and even robotic cleaners are 20% off. Come in and look at all of the in-stock patio furniture Family Leisure has. Plus, it's up to 50% off. Play gyms for the kids, that's $1,000 off. Patio umbrellas, take 20% off. You can get a 4-person hot tub for just under $3,000. We know you're really going to just use it for yourself. Family Leisure has discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while the supplies last, so you better get in quick. Plus, Family Leisure has special financing available. Just ask an associate for all the details. Summertime means party time, and Family Leisure is ready for any party. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun all come together.
We are Sports 6, WHBQ Campus, and W253 Memphis, broadcasting stations.
Time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show, and on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant and Brett.
Keith Smith joins us now to talk the NBA, and plenty to get into when it comes to the NBA offseason, the Olympic team, stuff going on with these television networks. A lot to talk about. Keith, thanks so much for joining us. I want to start off with this situation going on right now with TNT. We knew a couple weeks ago the NBA came out with their CBA and who was going to be their media partners, and TNT was not one of the media groups that was going to have any NBA games, but they were able to match any of the three. They decided to go out and try to match Amazon and Amazon Prime, and then we saw yesterday the NBA decided to stick with Amazon, and now it sounds like TNT and Warner Brothers could try to sue the NBA because of this. What have you seen out of this? What have you seen going on? And what do you think ultimately happens between TNT and the NBA?
Yeah, I think we're going to, Andrew Brandt, who covers the NFL, is fond of saying there will be lawyers, and I think he's right. In this case, there will be lawyers, where we're definitely going to have some legal action taking. I don't know that it'll get as far as actually going to court. I think all parties involved will settle, because one of the things that I've learned through this process is they don't even want to get into the discovery phase, because at that point, then they all have to be real honest about subscriber numbers, where their folks are coming from, and all those kind of things. And if anybody's been inflating their subscriber numbers or anything like that, that could be problematic in a whole lot of other reasons. And also, where's the money going that goes to this stuff? So I think what we'll probably see in the end is some form of settlement, either the NBA, maybe even their partners together with the NBA will essentially pay off Warner Brothers to go away, or we may see them say, hey, all right, you want to do a fourth package that doesn't exactly fit one of these, maybe you get your one night a week, and that's what we'll do, and we'll kind of continue down that road. That could be a thing we see as well, but I think we're a ways away from this being resolved.
I know that's for next year. For this year, between Olympics and some of that, do you think it is holding up the release of the schedule?
I don't think so. It's generally in August is when we get it. It's usually around the beginning to middle of August, so I would imagine that's when it'll come out again. It doesn't have the same kind of like major excitement like the NFL schedule does, because that's that's people mapping out every weekend of the fall. But yeah, it'll be out. My guess is probably sometime around the end to middle of August. They moved that back a few years ago when a handful of trades kind of dragged out. The big one, that first year they held it that late, was when Kevin Garnett was on the trade market. He got actually traded on July 31st. I know the date by heart because that happens to be my birthday. So it was a pretty good birthday present for me as a Celtics guy that day. But it was then they released after, because Boston, if you remember, was kind of a terrible team the year before and wasn't slated to have a lot of national TV games, and that flipped real quick once they had KG in the fold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm curious, obviously, a lot of the deals, a lot of the free agency has already been done, but still some things out there. A lot of people here in Memphis have been talking about the Grizzlies signing Jay Huff to a two-way deal, maybe a guy that they could rely on a little bit, as that fifth center if they need him due to that two-way. Does that do anything to you? What did you make of that signing on a two-way of Jay Huff?
Yeah, I don't know that it's going to make a huge deal. It's always good to have a little bit of extra depth in there, especially at a spot that's been kind of troublesome for the Grizzlies in the past. And it gives them another big body, I think, to throw every day at Zach Edey in practice. Their other bigs aren't really kind of that. I mean, no one's Zach Edey's size, but they're not, more the physical, strong bigs, and that's what Huff is. And I think my guess is they're looking at it and saying, all right, we have other athletic bigs, especially with Brandon Clark back in the fold, and that's kind of what Trey Jemison was giving him. I like Jemison. I think he's a real NBA player. Eventually, I think he'll morph into or evolve into being a backup center over time as he develops. But I think, for now, they're looking for, if you're Memphis, you want somebody who, if you run into that spot this year, you want somebody who can step in and actually give you 10 minutes a night, and you'll probably be okay, because they're looking to get right back into contention. So that's why you go with a little bit of an older player, a little bit more of a finished product in Jay Huff, because he can give you that.
Keith, I know the answer is all 30 teams, but there are some teams that are really looking forward to getting to camp, getting the schedule, getting to camp, and getting to the season more than others. I can't think of anybody that would be ahead of the Grizzlies. Just to get the real team back, to really get last year in the rear view and get to the 24-25 campaign.
Yeah, I completely agree. They'd be near the top of my list. And I keep, as we're kind of going through, because now the offseason has wrapped up enough. There's still some stuff to come, but it's to the point where it's like, all right, let's start taking stock. Where are teams at? Whose moves did we like? Other people go the grade system and those kind of things. For me, as I look through it, one of the things that I, keep trying to make sure I keep top of mind is, like, Memphis did not do a lot this summer as far as, players in, players out and all that. But I keep kind of reminding myself and then reminding others, they kind of had two pretty big acquisitions in John Morant and Desmond Bane, and hopefully a pretty big departure in the get out of here with the injury stuff. Because it just got so crazy last year. I think I might have this number wrong, but I think it was either 33 or 34 players played in a game for the Grizzlies last year, which is, that's just bonkers. That's, double, what a roster size is. So when you get into that point, that's, tells you the wheels came all the way off. I don't even know you were down to the rims. You might have been all the way down to the axle at that point. So they're, I think they're in a really good place to come back strong now that John Morant's been fully cleared. We're not even hearing now those lingering, well, this guy will be there, but, he's kind of working his way back. I think that's why it was important for a guy like Brandon Clark to play at the end of last season, even though there was nothing to play for. Just now he's able to go into the camp. He was able to work all summer with, all right, I'm good. I'm back. I don't have to be worrying about, all right, what's it going to look like the first time I really try to go up and down and play. That's now passed, and he's able to jump right in there, right, 2 feet right from the beginning and go. So I think that's, they're in a really good place.
I saw some Coach of the Year for next year odds out today, and I'm trying to get those. Taylor Jenkins was in a group that kind of a multi-way tie for 6 at 12-1, and the kind of the rags to riches story is what a lot of people like on voting on. I don't think people would stop and realize what he went through last year. They would just see the number of wins, and if he double that, turn that completely around, I think he would merit a lot of Coach of the Year award votes.
Yeah, sure. I can see that. And a lot of times I know the voters, they'll look first at exactly what you said. Sometimes it's Coach of the Year often goes to who overachieved the most, who did we think their team was going to be terrible and they ended up not terrible. But then other times, if you start getting kind of the narrative around it of, hey, the story part of it of, Taylor Jenkins, he hung in there. He kept this team going last year when everything went wrong that could go wrong. And now they bounced back. They're right back to the team we thought they were going to be. And I'll tell you this, I haven't by any means decided on standings and anything like that where I'm going to predict teams. But I'm pretty certain I'm going to have Memphis probably in that top 4 or 5 in the West, just because I believe that much in this team with these guys. That's where they lived the last couple of years before last season, and I don't see any reason why they won't be right back in that mix, because I think a lot of the injury stuff they had, this is not like, all right, guys out again with another pulled hamstring and those kind of things. These were like weird stuff that I don't think we should by any means price in as, all right, well, that's just going to be a thing now. Now, if it happens another year, then we start thinking a little bit different about a handful of guys of, all right, maybe we just have to, bake in. They're going to miss, 30, 40 games a season. That's just going to be how it is.
Keith, we're going to have to get you a key to the city. We love that 4 or 5 talk. Here are those odds, and you know at the top very well. Jamal Mosley first at 9-1, Joe Mazzulla second at 19-2. That's plus 950, and then a host or 3 coaches at 10-1. J.J. Redick, Nick Nurse, Tom Thibodeau, and then 3 coaches at 12-1: Ime Udoka, Mark Dejeneaux, and Taylor Jenkins.
Yeah, the one that's surprising there to me a little bit is Joe Mazzulla. Not that he's not a really good coach, and not that the Celtics shouldn't be really good, but if he couldn't win it last year, I don't know how he's going to win it this year. Like,
that's not rags to riches.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's going to be, now anything other than winning 60-plus games, people are going to be like, well, they're down from a year ago, so they must not be any better. And I think there's a chance with the Celtics, I think they are going to fall off a little bit in the regular season because, one, they've already climbed the mountain now. Now you've done it once. They're going to approach it of, hey, our goal is to be healthy in April, May, and June. Let's make sure we get there. Just, not that it's, take the regular season completely unseriously, but I think it's going to be, let's just kind of get through the regular season. The other thing is they played into June. Now you have Tatum and Holiday and White all playing with the Olympic team. They're going to get home in the middle of August, and about a little over a month later, they're going to report, because them and the Nuggets report earlier than anybody else does to training camp, because they're headed back over to Abu Dhabi again. And we've seen sometimes those teams that make the international trip in the preseason sometimes start a little bit behind the 8 ball. So I think you combine it all, and I could see the Celtics falling off. So I don't really, that's my long way of saying I would not put any money on Joe Mazzulla winning that award, because I just can't see how it happens.
Talking to Keith Smith, he joins us every week from Spot Track and the Front Office Show to talk the NBA. The Grizzlies made it all the way to the Summer League Championship earlier this week, Monday night, they lost to the Miami Heat. There's been a lot of talk, even before Summer League, but definitely throughout Summer League and after Summer League, about Scottie Pippen Jr.'s role with this Grizzlies team. There are some people thinking that he's played well enough last year and through Summer League to deserve a full contract and be kind of the backup point guard, one of those point guards. And then other people think that they could be able to use him as a second or third point guard on that two-way. What did you think of Scottie Pippen throughout Summer League, and where do you see his fit with this Grizzlies rotation going into the year?
Yeah, he reminds me of in Major League Baseball, there's the term 4A player, which is a guy who is too good for the minors but not quite good enough to stick in the majors. And that's kind of what Scottie Pippen Jr. reminds me of. When he's down in the G League, he's one of the best players in the G League. He knows it. I think we all know it. Challenge is you get him into the NBA. That's where a little bit of his lack of size works against him on some matchups. You see there's just not quite enough there. That's not to say he can't hold his own. I think he can. And if there was a moment where it was, all right, hey, we got to turn to him for a week or two of games because somebody's out and we need him to step in and play point guard. I think the bigger challenge for Memphis is, if you want to do that, where's the roster spot coming from? Because we're they just had to do a roster clearing trade kind of to make the space to re-sign Luke Kennard. And that was also, I think, about, hey, if we want to just kind of waive Mamadi Diakite, no skin off our back. We have nothing invested in this guy, so we can just kind of move on. Sure. Unlike where if you were to straight up waive Zaire Williams, one, you don't save any money, but also it's going to be that's really an admission of like, all right, well, the pick didn't work. It was a failure of a pick. So now it's there, but that's, I think, the bigger problem for any of these guys where it is, if one of these two-way guys or if a free agent is kind of sitting out there looking around and saying, hey, I haven't signed yet, with the assumption that Kennard is coming back, which is a little strange to me that we're still sitting here and that hasn't happened yet. But if that's going to be the way this plays out, they're in a spot where it becomes, all right, well how are we going to get one of these other guys in? And that's where free agents are starting to look. The money's probably going to be about the same from a lot of these teams. So what free agents are looking at is, can I play there? Because I don't want to go there, give up money, and then not play. That becomes an important thing for them. So I think that's something that we have to be very cautious of when we talk about elevating two-way guys and those kind of things. And, I'll do it just like everybody else does. That's why we can't overreact to Summer League and preseason and things like that.
Yeah. Well, you said something interesting that, it's kind of weird to you that the Luke Kennard deal hasn't happened yet. Are you worried at all that there's something holding that up and that maybe we don't end up getting that contract? Where do you think they are in that situation?
Yeah, I really don't know, and I haven't heard anything. And I asked around a little bit, and everybody's kind of like, everybody kind of just assumes it'll get done.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of time of year where it is like there's no real rush. Like nothing is going to happen now for another month and a half or so. At least if around the end of August is when guys start filtering back into the home markets for informal workouts before camp starts and those kind of things. Or maybe that's even a little early for some guys. That's more the younger guys. The older guys will come back in shortly after Labor Day. So I don't think there's any real rush to do it. But when you make a trade they can't come out and say directly that's what they were doing. They can, but they generally won't. But we all kind of knew what the situation was there. Often that is followed up by the next move, whatever you made the initial move to be able to do. And when that didn't happen, it was just a little bit, all right, what are we doing here? That I just was kind of wondering a little bit.
Keith Smith with us from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. He's with us every Thursday talking all things NBA. He's on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line as all our guests appear on. Keith, at the Olympics, are you just win, baby, or do you want style points?
No, just win.
I'm with you.
It's great if they go out there and roll everybody, sure, but I don't expect that anymore. That's just not where we're at anymore at this point in the Olympics. So for me, it's just get it done, get the victory. It's twofold. Come home with the gold and come home with no injuries. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. That's even the guys on the other teams or anything. I don't want a single guy to get hurt doing this because the more times that happens, the less likely we are to see these guys play in these extra competitions. So I'm all about go out, win the gold for the U.S., get home healthy, and that's good enough for me.
Who's the NBA player on other teams representing other countries that you expect not to have a breakout Olympics. We may already know them, but some out there in the basketball or the sports world will know them a lot better after the Paris Olympics.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Oh boy, maybe Nikola Jovic, not Nikola Jokic. I think most people know him, but
Yeah.
Nikola Jovic for Serbia. I think if Serbia makes any kind of run, especially if they're really
Keith, that's such a
competitive
great
with,
answer.
with
That's
the
an amazing
US.
answer.
Like I think he could be the guy that he just kind of emerges and plays really well. So I think it could be him. I think he is somebody that we want to keep an eye on there. And then I think this Olympics has the opportunity to be kind of for even casual basketball fans that are just kind of into it, but get more into it because it's the Olympics of it all kind of thing. This could be the real stage where Victor Wembanyama becomes that global super duper star where everybody's like, whoa, all right, I remember kind of hearing about this guy and catching highlights, but holy cow, he's the real deal. And then one other guy I'm going to mention, just because people love the stories of kids in the Olympics, right? The young guys. Kaman Malwak on South Sudan. He is only 17 years old. He's going to Duke next year. If he gets a chance to play and plays well, I think you're going to see a lot of people like, whoa, hey, what about that really young kid on South Sudan that, got, 5 points and 8 rebounds or whatever like that. I think he's another guy that people get pretty excited about.
Yeah. Last thing for you, Keith. Speaking of the Team USA, last time we talked to you was before the scare against South Sudan, and then their other exhibition that was really close against Germany. What did you see in those two exhibition games, and did it kind of worry you about where this team is at going into the Olympics?
Yeah, it doesn't worry me, but it's just another example of we can't just show up anymore. It's not enough. We have to come ready to play. These countries are too good. These countries all have, NBA level guys. The biggest difference is it's when the United States goes to, and they're really running it right now like a second unit with the hockey subs, when they go to that second group, it's still all NBA guys. Mm-hmm. When the other countries go to that second group, you may have 1 or 2 EuroLeague guys that are mixed in there and those kind of things, but they can all play. And you see the benefit that some of these other countries have of having played together for years and years and years, which we don't have. That's part of the reason why Steve Kerr said we wanted to play 5 exhibition games. And he even said we would have played a couple more if we could have, because we wanted to get these guys' experience together. And you can still see there's just moments, whether it is, I thought we were switching there and we didn't switch, or I thought you were going to back cut and you didn't go, you popped out instead. Those are the things that throw us off, where you watch like Germany, who's played together, that group, this current core for them, they don't have those mistakes. Every little bit counts in these games. So that said, I still think the United States wins. I think they'll still win fairly comfortably. But I think the days of just showing up, taking a bunch of pictures, and hammering a team by 50 and having a bunch of laughs, I think those days are long, long gone.
Yeah, well, it's going to be fun this weekend seeing them in that first actual Olympic game. But Keith, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Keith.
Keith Smith with us from Spotrac and the Front Office Show, and he just nailed that question on the other stars, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
And future stars,
wow.
Absolutely,
yes.
And Brian, on every level, watching the Olympics is going to be fun. The production value of NBC, I said earlier, I think of the networks, that's what they're known for. They've got this Olympic thing down. I'm going to love watching the promos for other things. You're going to see a lot of Big Ten football promos.
Oh, absolutely.
Coming up this week. You're going to see a lot of, of course, NFL promos. Mm-hmm. And you're going to hear coming soon, not this year, but next year, NBA back on NBC.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. Especially when Team USA is playing and they're showing those games, you're going to see a whole lot of the ads of we're back with, that round ball rock in the background. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Because like you were saying about when you go to Amazon and you're just inundated,
Yep.
Almost they drive you to it.
That's right.
These rights fees, really big money.
Oh, yep.
And they have to get a return. And sports has proved itself at the network level that's the one place that you can still make some money, that people like the the reality show called Live Sports.
That's right, yeah, and so it's going to be fun, and they know all eyes are going to be on NBC for the Olympics, so, getting those ads in for all these other things, it's going to be, it's definitely going to be big.
Let's head to the beach, let's head to the lake, to the mountains, to anywhere, and let's start all those road trips at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. First exit on Highway 78 when you cross into Mississippi. That's Kraft Goodman Road, and you're there. And what we really want to drive, that's something from All-Star. In All-Star, they have hundreds of new and pre-owned Silverados. Some mark 12% off invoice. Add up the All-Star special discounts and look for our Costco member deals at All-Star Chevrolet. One sweet buyer's market right now with financing as low as 1.9%. No payments for 90 days on a bunch of new All-Star Chevys. And nothing beats road trips like that in a new Tahoe. Get an extra $500 bonus back if you're a first responder, military, college grad, educator, healthcare worker. No matter what pre-owned you're looking for, they have it at All-Star. 4Runners, an Expedition, Navigator, Jeeps, all the trucks, all at All-Star, and you can test drive any one of these vehicles. Bring any vehicle you want to sell and get a big check back today. Don't miss All-Star Chevy's special summer sale going on right now in Olive Branch. For more details and to look at all those cars, go to allstarautogroup.com.
Well, we need to get to a break. On the other side, we got to talk a lot of baseball. We had a no-hitter earlier today. We've also got a bunch of other results on a very limited Thursday schedule. So we'll talk a ton of baseball. Stick with us. You're listening to Sports Time on Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsofMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Quirky's Barbecue in Cordova.
It's the Gossett Mitsubishi Motors Summer Sales Event, and you won't find a better bang for your buck. So get to Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike and get 43 MPG Highway and 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage, $17,980 or $299 a month. 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, $26,530 or $379 a month. 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, we Gossett, $26,530 or $379 a month. And get vacation ready in 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander, $29,900 or $399 a month. Plus peace of mind with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
500 military rebate, 500 loyalty, and 500 trade and assist. Mirage, RHO 10843, MSRP 18480. Sport, RU1 11873, MSRP 28030. Outlander, RCO 63695, MSRP 314. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Buster's Butcher at 199 South Highland Street in Memphis. We're a full-service butcher shop offering a curated selection of quality meats, cheeses, prepared foods, and more. At Buster's, our skilled butchers are also experienced chefs. They'll be delighted to guide you on selecting, preparing, and cooking our fine selection of products. We're like nothing else you can find in Memphis. Learn more at bustersbutcher.com and come see why every cut counts at Buster's Butcher.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets, but I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there. To learn more, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Corky's Barbecue.
Hi, this is Jay Stovall with Corky's Barbecue. We have been serving up our legendary barbecue for more than 39 years, right here in Memphis, Tennessee. Whether you're dining in, picking up in our drive-thru, or serving our famous barbecue at your office or home, with Corky's Party Pack, you are the hit of the party. Barbecue pulled pork, baked beans, coleslaw, barbecue sauce, and buns, starting at only $8.49 per person. And as you know, we send plenty of food. You never have to worry about running out of the store.
Corky's Barbecue.
Snowball with Corky's Barbecue. We have been serving up our legendary barbecue for more than 39 years, right here in Memphis, Tennessee. Whether you're dining in, picking up in our drive-thru, or serving our famous barbecue at your office or home, with Corky's Party Pack, you are the hit of the party. Barbecue pulled pork, baked beans, coleslaw, barbecue sauce, and buns, starting at only $8.49 per person. And as you know, we send plenty of food. You never have to worry about running out of the store.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is an ACUSA church located in town Memphis.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Well, a couple games already in the book in Major League Baseball, and one no-hitter in the book for one Dylan Cease, who improved to 10-8 on the year with a 3.5 ERA. He no-hits the Washington Nationals in a game earlier today, a game that was stopped because of rain and weather, but Dylan Cease came back out, so did Patrick Corbin, and one got the win, one got the loss, and a 3-0 win for the Padres. Second no-hitter of the year, Brett. Again, thank you for tuning me on to it in the ninth inning, but really fun to watch this afternoon.
I'm like the no-hitter alert guy.
You are. You should that should be your Twitter. Like, you should make a Twitter page that's no-hitter alerts, and you just alert everybody when no hitters going on.
I get the blame when one gets broken up. I have nothing to do with it.
Well, I only blamed you the one time with Paul Skeens. I can't speak for other people that blame you, but that's the only time I've ever blamed you for a no-hitter not getting there.
2 hour and 6 minute game today with an hour 16-minute delay.
Whew.
20,755 in the swamp at Nationals Park to witness it in 353rd in Major League Baseball history.
Yeah, it was incredible, and like you said, a really long rain delay in there, over an hour. And usually, when you get to an hour or more, that's really when a lot of teams start saying, "All right, maybe we should just go straight to the bullpen
Shut down.
and not get our guy back out there." And so I was really surprised not only to see one of them come back out there, but to see both of them go back out there and pitch. And so, but the Padres, we mentioned it earlier, now 55-50, definitely still in the mix. But, if you're the Padres in this position, you've got to take advantage against teams like the Nationals that, I think are a better team than they've been the past couple of years, but ultimately not a team that's going to compete this season. So you've got to take advantage when you have games like that, and we're kind of seeing them do just that.
Max Scherzer has passed Justin Verlander in strikeouts to move into 10th place all time. All right, here's the top 10. Nolan Ryan, talked about it last week, 5,000, and earlier this week, 5,714 strikeouts. Then Randy Johnson, Roger Clemens, Steve Carlton, Burt Blyleven, Tom Seaver, Don Sutton, Gaylord Perry, Walter Johnson, Max Scherzer, and Justin Verlander.
Wow.
12th is Greg Maddux, and then Phil Niekro, Fergie Jenkins. Do we think of Verlander and Scherzer, or am I really just asking myself this? Do we think of them in the pantheon of greats like Clemens and Carlton and Seaver and Maddux and Niekro and Jenkins and Pedro Martinez?
That's a good question, and I think part of it is because they're current players, and that kind of conversation we have all the time about former players, that kind of lore and the age of all of those games and the history of that. That definitely helps them. I think when I think of both those players, I view both of them as greats, and especially in this current era. But I do think both those guys have had significant injury history. Kershaw just making his debut today for the Dodgers after being out all season with an injury. Scherzer, we know what happened with him last year.
Kershaw's 21st on that list.
Yeah. So I think injuries have definitely hurt them a little bit in terms of kind of where they stand in terms of the greatness conversation. But now both of them back and looking good. I mentioned Kershaw. He was throwing today, and now my box score won't pull up, so I don't know exactly how he looked today in his first game back. But that will be kind of interesting to watch because I know the Dodgers have been a team that a lot of people have been talking about need pitching at the deadline because right now when you look at what they've got, it doesn't feel like they have the pitching to get them very far in the playoffs. But obviously when you get Kershaw back, that definitely helps a lot.
Kershaw's stat line today, 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 2 walks, 6 Ks.
Not terrible.
No, not at all.
No.
Zany Joe Kelly in now.
There you go. You got to love Joe Kelly. Just goes down as a legend. You talk about Kershaw and Scherzer in conversation of greats. I mean, you got to mention Joe Kelly in terms of legend status. I mean,
with the standoffs?
Exactly. The standoffs and then the staring down the Astros a couple years back. I mean, he has definitely put himself in a category of his own.
I mentioned odds with Keith Smith about Coaches of the Year for the NBA next year. Also out from Bet Online on Twitter at betonline_AG, and you can follow them at betonline.ag. They have the baseball trade deadline potential players. Brent Rooker from the A's.
Yeah.
The leaders, the Phillies, 2-1.
Wow.
Yankees, 3-1.
Wow.
Royals, 6-1. Braves and Brew Crew 8-1. It's going to be one of those teams at the top.
Yeah, that'd be incredible.
Eric Fetty for the White Sox. Who do you think the leader is?
Fetty.
You're a St. Louis Cardinals.
I was going to say the Cardinals. I've seen the Cardinals and his name together a lot, so that would be interesting.
Brewers 3-1. Guardians 4-1. Garrett Crochet with Chicago with the White Sox. Orioles 3-1. That feels it felt like slam dunk.
Yeah.
Dodgers 4-1. Yankees 5-1. Jack Flaherty, pretty good last night.
Yeah,
pretty good. 3-1 to the Guardians. Chisholm for Miami. 2-1 to the Yankees. Lewis Robert 1-1 to the Dodgers.
Wow. 1-1.
That's not gaming.
No, it's definitely not gaming. Wow, that would be
Randy Arozarena. Dodgers 1-1, Orioles 4-1, Yankees 9-1, and way down there. And wouldn't this just be a sign of utter incompetence if the Cardinals had to trade back for him? Cardinals at 20-1, it won't happen.
No chance.
You can't let your pride. You can't do your pride like that.
Not at all.
Scoople 5-4 Dodgers plus 125.
Wow.
3-2 Orioles plus 150.
Yeah, see that I was just about to ask if Scooball was on there, but I mentioned a couple weeks ago I started hearing kind of people talk. There was a game right before the trade deadline, I believe, or not the trade deadline, the All-Star break, where he started against the Dodgers, and I saw a lot of people kind of hinting at keep an eye on this matchup tonight because this could mean a lot. With the Dodgers kind of getting their eyes firsthand on Scooball. So, but here's the thing with all of those odds, it's great to say it right now. I hear the Dodgers atop a lot of guys on the trade deadline. They're not in the Yankees. They're not going to get all those guys, and so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
And I just wonder what they have in younger players to give up because I don't know if you want to disrupt your chemistry with a lot of players. Because both the Dodgers and Yankees are in the playoffs.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And so I'm curious, trying to pull up to see if I can find where those two teams specifically are kind of ranked in terms of farm system, because I obviously don't want to go through and look at the prospects they have. So Dodgers have the 8th best farm system. So that's, they've surely got guys in there. Yankees right behind them at 11. So certainly it feels like Dodgers probably have a little more to play with than the Yankees, but they'll find ways to make deals
Where's St.
work.
Louis listed in that?
Oh, geez. Let's see. I don't think St. Louis is very high, if I had to guess. I think it'd probably be easier to just go bottom up. Let's see. Not in the top 20. I'll tell you that right now. 23.
Yeah, you got to have something to give to get.
You got to, and so I think that's going to be, that's what's going to make it interesting for the Cardinals. You mentioned Fetty there, who's with the White Sox right now. If the Cardinals go get him, it's not going to be the return that Garrett Crochet or Luis Robert or some of those other guys for the White Sox are going to get. But I am interested in what the Cardinals would be willing to give up. just to get a guy like Fetty. I'm not sure of Fetty's contract and what that would look like, how long you would kind of have him before you'd need to kind of get a new contract on the table. But that's been kind of the issue in the past of the Cardinals don't want to give anything up to try to go out and get guys on that are around the trade deadline. So it'll be interesting to watch in terms of the Cardinals. Sure.
And I don't think they're indefensible.
Right.
Here's my case. Are you going to make a big move? Are you going to maybe deal a player that can really help you next year and in 26 to win the wild card round?
Well, yeah, no, that's a good point, and that's kind of what I've been saying about. I don't even really think the Cardinals should be buyers at this deadline.
I don't
and if anything, I would say maybe be soft sellers at this deadline because I don't think you're playing for anything. At the end of the day, maybe you go to the wild card, but I don't think this team has shown anything that would make me believe that they can win a wild card series. And so, I think if anything, maybe you try to find a piece or two you sell and just try to make this team stronger for next season. But at the end of the day, Brett, that's not going to make any fan happy, I don't think, when you're trying to sell the future of the team.
Phone lines.
It'd be awful. But I think at the end of the day, you've got to. You got to put your team in a position, and right now I just don't like the position the Cardinals are in with their current roster.
And they're not unlike a lot of teams kind of in that pack of cars that they're in right now. Boy, if you ain't rubbing, you ain't racing, and this group right here.
Yeah.
Mets, Padres, Cardinals, Arizona, Pittsburgh. I don't count out Cincinnati being in there.
No, I don't either. No, and that's what almost makes it even more kind of scary around the deadline is, right now the Cardinals are in a good spot. Several other teams are in a good spot right now, but you give it a week and a half, and all of that could change, really quickly, and it only takes, a small slump from your team to be in the wild card and then completely be way out of it because of how close all those teams are right now.
Led by me being chief number one spoiled Cardinal fan.
Sure.
And arrogant Cardinal fan, led by me. I know that. I think John Mozeliak in the front office gets an unfair label of they never do anything because it may not all be in season at the deadline.
Sure,
but went out and got Arenado.
That's right.
Went out and got Goldschmidt.
That's right.
Through the years, have made deals to make the team a lot better. They've missed on some, but that's part of it.
I think that's interesting because you're absolutely right. Do you think, and what do you think plays into that narrative? Because you're right, they have gotten out that. Is it the spoiled rotten, or is it the fact that they just haven't done anything postseason wise since making those
that's
moves?
it. Hadn't won a postseason series since 2014.
It's hard to believe.
And hadn't won anything of any significance since getting to the World Series in 2013. Last won it in 2011. All that's a long time ago now.
It's a very long time ago. You're absolutely right.
But they a long time ago they made the deal for Roland. They made deal for Larry Walker in season.
Yep.
Made deals off season and just an absolute theft when they got Jim Edmonds, the best I think with Willie McGee, the best center fielder in Cardinal history.
Sure.
So through the years, and all those weren't John Mozeliak deals, some of them were Walt Jocketty's, but through the years, everybody lumps in the misses as so much bigger than the hits, and I don't think that's accurate.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
Where this current front office has really missed is in the draft.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how hard the draft is.
Yeah, no, it's I don't think there's a harder draft than Major League Baseball draft. I mean, it is you really never know what you're getting. And so, we'll see. Some of these recent picks have not, I think, played out how they think they would, or at least as fast as they would,
Just that idea of all of them missing.
Sure. Well, and I mean, just the idea of, what kind of has happened to Jordan Walker right now. And he's still at AAA. And
that was Randy Flores' big pick.
It was. So, no, it's definitely a weird spot right now that the Cardinals find
How many home
themselves
runs is
in.
he sitting on for the Redbirds?
For the Redbirds, that's a great question. Because
it was one for a long time.
Yeah, I really have. It's definitely more than one. But I have not checked in on him recently.
The last games I went to, it just wasn't many hard hits.
No. And it hasn't gotten much better. Brett, he's batting .238 right now with a .302 on base percentage. On base percentage, that's a good on base percentage for hitting .238, but only 4 home runs right now.
That's too soft
this year. That's way too soft. 24 RBI. So yeah, just at the plate has not been able to figure it out at all. But still, a young player still has plenty of time to figure it out. But
it feels like it's on the wrong track.
It definitely does.
Different circumstances, but he's not even at the Kobe Rasmus level.
No, you're right about that. He definitely is not. But what's today? Today's Thursday, so I guess they'll play later tonight. The Redbirds will, because I know they had a day game yesterday. Or no, they've already played today. No, it is. That's his next game. I thought it said last game. So they had a day game yesterday, and I believe an early afternoon game the day before. So they'll play tonight. Maybe he has a big game tonight since we are talking about him a little bit.
Poor White Sox entered play today.
Holy cow.
50 under 500.
Yeah, and now 51 under 500. Crazy. 27-78 on the season.
And I complain about Cardinal fans.
Brett, you were out about this time last year for the Cardinals.
I checked out, didn't I?
You sure did.
I said it was all yours. See you in 24.
That's right. And so, definitely better than being a White Sox fan, that's for sure. Close game, lost, though, 2-1. Some
would say checked out. Some say I was a quitter.
Yeah, tomato, I guess. The Tigers won over the Guardians 3-0. The Orioles won in 10 innings over the Marlins 7-6. We already mentioned Padres and Nationals. 2 games going on right now. The Rays 12-0 lead over Toronto.
Pool.
Get ready. Somebody is watching with a whole lot of interest right now. And then also Dodgers, they're up 4-2 over the Giants. 2 games later tonight, so a very light schedule of baseball tonight. Braves and Mets at 6 o'clock, and then later tonight, 8:30, Athletics and Angels. But let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Cork and Barrel in Hernando, Mississippi, a Southern gem for over 15 years. Check out their bigger, better, bolder new location, 2595 McInvale Road, Hernando. Huge selection, incredible pricing. Choose from hundreds of bourbons, tequilas, rum, scotch, and vodka. Over 1,000 wines from fine to very simple picnic wines. At Cork and Barrel, it's all about serving you. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 10, where the fun begins and the liquor and wine never end. Cork and Barrel, 2595 McInvale Road, I-55, Hernando, exit 280.
Country music singer-songwriter Kylie Morgan absolutely loves her Genesis diamond ring.
I got so many compliments as soon as I got the ring, and continue to get compliments on it. It looks really pretty on my finger.
Kylie's husband Jay heard folks in the music industry raving about Genesis, and he also did a lot of homework on his own.
When it came to finding the ring, he took it very seriously. He did all the research. I think he knows more about diamonds than any man in the entire world. And that's how he landed on Genesis. He just knew it.
Stunning, flawless, pear-shaped diamond in a golden set. Got the value price Genesis is known for. Tell everyone they moving on the amazing Genesis experience.
When you walk into Genesis, you can just feel the happiness. You know that they're helping find something that symbolizes the love that you have for your partner, and you can feel that as soon as you walk through the door.
Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We can get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we can take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
It's the Gossett Mitsubishi Motors Summer Sales Event, and you won't find a better bang for your buck. So get to Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike and get 43 MPG Highway and 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage, $17,980 or $299 a month. 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, $26,530 or $379 a month. 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, we Gossett, $26,530 or $379 a month. And get vacation ready in 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander, $29,900 or $399 a month. Plus peace of mind with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
500 military rebate, 500 loyalty, and 500 trade-in assist. Mirage, RHO 10843, MSRP 18480. Sport, RU1 11873, MSRP 28030. Outlander, RCO 63695, MSRP 314. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
All right, Brett, I think we should shake it up again today and have you go first today.
I'm ready. My big number is 10, as in 10-win seasons for the Miami Hurricanes. They've had one in the last 21 years.
Wow.
That's a lot of being back to not be back, isn't it?
No, you're absolutely right. That is not a lot.
2017, they go 10-3, but they lost the Orange Bowl. The last really great bowl win for them, 2004 Peach Bowl. A lot of coaches, Cristobal, Diaz, Rick, Golden, Shannon, since Larry Coker won it all with the team. I swear, I think I could have coached and won it with them.
Yeah, I think you're.
And I don't know a cover two from man to man.
Well, yeah, but I that team was talented, so I would not.
I said it back then. Jeremy Shockey had to turn pro to get playing time.
Oh yeah, no, and that's crazy. But that's how talented they were. So I think you're right. I think a lot of us normal people would have success with that group. Let's see. My big number, I mentioned it earlier, it was going to be a Dylan Cease number. It is the number 8. Dylan Cease of the Padres is the first MLB pitcher in the modern era to have at least 8 strikeouts while also not allowing more than 1 hit in 3 consecutive starts. It has been really, really impressive when you look back. July 13th versus Atlanta, he only gave up 1 hit and struck out 11 in 6 innings. On July 20th, he went 7 innings against Cleveland, gave up 1 hit and struck out 10. And then on July 25th, against at Washington, he obviously today we know what he did with the no-hitter, striking out 9 in a full game. So Dylan Cease has been lights out as of recently, and that comes after the start of July where he kind of struggled. The first game, 6 earned runs on 8 hits, and then his second outing in this month, 3 earned runs on 5 hits, but since then has been absolutely lights out.
Remember how much was made early in the year about the new uniform designers,
Yes.
the fabric of them?
Yes.
And as everything that we have such a fit over when it first comes out, and then it settles in and we quit talking about it. But today, he was drenched.
Oh, man.
In those Padres road grays. And then he really got drenched in the post-game interview when they showered him.
Yeah, no, he absolutely did. And you're seeing that a lot of play. I mean, you mentioned it. You're seeing that all over the place with these jerseys.
Especially the road.
The gray ones. It shows through really bad for some of these guys. But yeah, he was drenched out there, and then obviously got a little bit more of it after he got the no-hitter. So I always love watching no-hitters.
I do too.
That was really fun to see today.
And I intentionally went to the Padre broadcast, and I love Don Orsillo, why the Red Sox let him go.
Yeah.
I'll never understand. With Jerry Remy, that was just gold listening to Neston in those broadcasts, and with Eck on those broadcasts. But he's the hometown TV announcer for the Padres, and he nailed the ninth. He knew he would.
Oh yeah, no, he absolutely did. You knew he was going to, especially baseball play-by-play guys. I mean, they dreamed to have those moments.
All those games.
All of them. They dreamed to have moments like that, walk-offs and no-hitters and stuff like that. So you knew he was going to be ready for it.
I was telling someone last week at SEC Media Days that forever has been in media relations. When do Major League Baseball sports information directors, director of broadcasting or media relations, when do they sleep on all the notes they have to do?
I think about that for a lot of people in the when it comes to the media side of these teams,
but especially baseball.
Oh yeah, I mean it's day in, day out, updating stuff, those game notes. I'm shocked whenever I look at them and just start thinking how long the season is. And even more, like, I know not many people look at game notes for college baseball, but when I see those, because there are a lot of college baseball programs, they just don't worry about game notes, and I don't blame them. I mean, with all of those games, weekend series, it's just too much. But there are some teams that they put it out every single weekend.
They sure do.
There are some teams that update it every single game, even on those weekend series, and it's just so impressive whenever I see something like that, because a lot of time and work and effort goes into that.
Brian, you want a quick generational story?
Please.
So way back when it used to be a ton of mailings and everybody in the college football world, Sunday was dedicated. I mean, that was practically the busiest day of the week for a lot of sports information people because they would get the notes done, copy them, and mail them.
That's right.
And back in the day, in the break room right there at Flynn Broadcasting, where the food vending machine is now, that was where all the little mailboxes.
Oh,
and
love that.
The drink machine was over, kind of more to the left. There was no vending machine for food, and by the end of the week in George's box, his would be thicker than New York phone book, on about 6 of them on top of each other when all the game notes would come in.
Oh, man.
And he would let me take them home, and I would read them, and it was just fascinating to have all. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, no, game notes are. I know we always talk about them, right there, week 0, week 1 of college football season, kind of the same with
best
basketball.
site out there.
Oh yeah, no,
college press box.
Exactly. You can get all of your.
That's
stuff
who
there.
I was talking to it about. I was talking with Ted Ganji last week about it.
Really?
He runs college press box.
Wow, how about that? So yeah,
I said.
He knows.
Because I asked him, I said, how come there's not a basketball equivalent of you? And he said, Brett, do you want to drive somebody crazy?
Oh, man. Yeah.
having to do that.
Talk about a full day process of trying to get all those lined up. That would be that'd be incredible.
And then I said the baseball people, they can't sleep. They can't have lives.
No, not at all. Not at all. But they do great work. That is definitely for sure. But we need to go ahead and wrap up our second hour and get to a break. And when we come back to start our 5 o'clock hour like we do every single Thursday, Greg Gaston will join us to talk Tigers.
Maybe you've driven
driven by Sunrise on Jefferson or Sunrise East on Poplar and seen the full parking lot and thought you didn't want to have to wait forever for your breakfast or lunch? Well, here's the thing. At both Sunrise locations, their goal is to get you your order fresh and made just for you in 5 minutes or less. Sometimes they may not meet that goal, but the important thing is at Sunrise, they're trying to, because Sunrise only hires people that actually care about the customers. Whether it's breakfast or lunch, Sunrise on Jefferson and Sunrise on Poplar are doing their very best to give you the very best.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour. I gotta fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're going to be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code 2024 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code 2024 for 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code 2024 for 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code 2024.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. For nearly 2 decades, we've installed some of the best roof systems across the Mid-South. To the tens of thousands of clients we've served, we are honored. So many of you call our team at Brian Elder Roofing your roofers. Our team is dedicated to serving you and keeping your family safe, dry, and mold-free. The recent hailstorms have caused massive damage, and many of these will go unnoticed for years, even though the golf ball-sized hail we've just experienced in the Mid-South compromises even the best-built roof system. Whether we find damage or not, your photos are securely stored for future reference. Call Brian Elder Roofing today for a total evaluation of your entire roof system free. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. Call me at 901-867-0303. That's 901-867-0303. Or business online at brianelderroofing.com.
Sunrise Buick GMC truck. It's our 35th anniversary of Sunrise, and we're celebrating with savings that are bigger than ever. Over 600 new cars and trucks to choose from with huge savings. It's a used car buyer's dream. Check it out at sunrisememphis.com. Hundreds of used cars and trucks with a lot specializing in cars and trucks under $20,000. Bad credit, it's okay. You're approved at Sunrise. Remember, we specialize in secondary financing. New cars and trucks aren't free, but at least they're affordable at the 35th anniversary sale going on now at all Sunrise locations. Coming from Mike Bouquet and Collierville.
Around here at Wrangler, we are all excited for spring. The longer days, the warmer nights. When you've got your pick of shorts and jeans, either works just fine. Blue skies, open roads. Wrangler, for the ride of life.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Finishing up this crash over here on 240 eastbound at Mill Branch. They should have it out here in just a few more minutes. It's already busy over here this time of the afternoon as you travel down 240 east from Mill Branch all the way out to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. It wants to load up at times certain sections of Sam Cooper going outbound. So far, so good. I-40 east from Sycamore View Road all the way out into Fayette County. Weimer's Jewelry. They're located 7525 Highway 64. They are your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
From the Tigers sideline, it's Tigers Talk with Memphis broadcasting legend Greg Gaston. Hear Greg weekday mornings on Sports 56 Mornings, along with Eli Savoy from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. On Twitter X at Greg_Gaston. Here's Greg with Bryant and Brett.
Greg Gaston joins us to talk Tigers, and right after AAC Media Days earlier this week, a lot of hype about the Tigers. They are put at number 1 in the preseason poll for the conference, and Ryan Silverfield talked a lot about the expectations this season, how he's dealing with them, how his team is dealing with them. Greg, thanks so much for joining us. What were your takeaways from the Memphis Tigers at AAC Media Days?
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. Great to be back on with you. No surprise. I think we all expected Memphis to be picked by the media. As far as Memphis and the way Coach Silverfield and the player representatives, which were Seth Hennigan and Chandler Martin, the way they handled the questions, I thought was exactly what I expected. They've embraced being the hunted this year as opposed to the hunter. They got a lot to prove out there. We know it's a tough schedule inside the conference. And obviously they got a big non-conference game against Florida State, not to mention a very good, solid Troy program. But I think it was everything that most people expected for them to be picked number 1 by the media, and hopefully that'll come to fruition for Tigers fans.
And, Greg, it was in a landslide, and I've talked a lot this week about it at SEC Media Days. I can't ever remember an SEC Media Days with that many people coming to me and them initiating Memphis Tiger talk and playoff talk and a deep a run to the playoffs and winning the AAC. Greg, if they get any run game, it won't be close with what Seth Hennigan can do with receivers and tight ends.
Yeah, look, I think they can handle, first of all, the hype. I don't think that is a problem. So all these other folks asking you about the Tigers, even if they're expertise, maybe the SEC. It makes sense because now with the expanded playoff, the 12-team playoff, somebody's going from the group of 5, so why not Memphis? And you're right about the offense. This offense is ready to score a lot of points again. You have to replace Blake Watson, and we know what Blake Watson ended up doing in his year with Memphis. He wasn't drafted, but has a great chance to be on the Broncos, at least the practice squad. And Mario Anderson is a guy who could have stayed at South Carolina and been more than likely their number 1, at least their 2, but probably their number 1 running back. And he comes to Memphis, so they expect to pick up where they left off with the running game. But you're going to see more than Mario Anderson. Sutton Smith is going to be extremely important. Smith will be more the pass catcher, I think, out of the backfield. And you'll give the ball a lot of totes for Mario Anderson. The offensive line, I think, is going to be very much improved. And with Hennigan slinging the ball around the field with the receivers they have led by Rock Taylor, I think Memphis has a chance to be more potent than they were last year with the offense, with Tim Cramsey's offense. Now it's a question of, can the defense do a better job in in trying to avoid these games that come down to the wire, where Memphis has had to pull one out late several times last year in wins over UAB, Charlotte, North Texas, where the offense came through maybe in a final drive to win a game. You don't want to get into that situation. You want to be able to put the points on the board, but keep the other team from scoring as much as they've had, quite frankly, in the last couple of years. And if that's the case, Memphis doesn't have to worry about a last-minute drive to win a football game. Hopefully they can do that and win some of these games comfortably, where it's not sweating it out for themselves and for the fans down the stretch in any of these games.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. I'm curious, when you saw the preseason poll, because Brett and I have been talking about this a little bit after we saw it, I was a little surprised UTSA came in at second in front of Tulane. I know Tulane kind of losing a lot, bringing in a new head coach, but from everything I've heard, it sounds like they're going to be a very competitive team this year. Were you surprised how the rankings behind Memphis shook out? And with that group, I know it's UTSA, Tulane, then USF right there behind them. Who do you think kind of gives Memphis the most push this season in conference play?
Well, initially, I was a little surprised and then I took a deep dive into what was going on. And we had Phil Steele on Monday, and he explained why he picked UTSA to win the American Conference. He had Memphis tied for second with Tulane, and it has nothing to do with the fact that he thinks UTSA is more talented, because he doesn't. He has Memphis number one in this conference in power rankings. What he does indicate, which people should certainly take into consideration, is the schedule and how advantageous it is for UTSA. This is a team that lost their 7-year starting quarterback, Frank Harris. First couple of those years he was injured, but Frank Harris is a big weapon that they lose. But when you look at their schedule, they play Memphis at home. I think they avoid 2 of the top 4 teams. And I'm not sure if it's Tulane that they play and then avoid South Florida. It's one of those deals where if you look at their schedule, you go, wow, that is really advantageous. Whereas with Memphis, we know that the teams that were picked right behind them, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, they play all 3 of them, and they play all 3 of them on the road. And Memphis on the road, while they won a lot of games last year on the road, they still lost to Tulane, and that was, of course, at home, but they got to play Tulane on the road this time around, and they've struggled a little bit with the Green Wave here recently. And Memphis overall on the road over the last 3 years, not the best record. So it is hard to win on the road. I don't care what conference it is. And that's why UTSA got a big advantage from people like Phil Steele because of that schedule. So the way I would go is, again, I think it could be a very special year with Memphis. I haven't put together so this is kind of off the cuff. I have not put together my records yet for the conference and my predictions for the conference. We'll do that several weeks down the road on my morning show. But I will say this. I think Memphis, with the players that they have back, the players that they brought in, even with that schedule, I'm going to give you more than likely the benefit of the doubt. But I think UTSA is properly put in that second position with Tulane and their new coach. They lose Michael Pratt, and USF, which is going to be a scary good team. Look out for that team. They are on the rise. I think it's the 4 teams that we all expected to be in the top 4 spots. And then after that, Army at number 5. Now, Memphis doesn't play Army. Who knows what will happen? Maybe they'll play them in the American Conference Championship game. First year for Army in this league, and we know that Army has had some good years here lately. They could put together a good run. But I think it's proper with UTSA right behind Memphis. But Tulane, South Florida, possibly Army, they're the teams. The rest of those teams have flaws. It's not like they're not capable of winning against any of those top 4 or 5 teams. But certainly I think there's a division between those top 4 or 5 and then the rest of the league.
No Frank Harris after his 19 years at UTSA. It was really a beautiful career. But he's being replaced by Owen McCown, son of longtime NFL quarterback Josh McCown.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know. And the McCown bloodline's pretty strong. So, yes, absolutely a guy who they feel confident in. But when you lose a veteran like Frank Harris, not only are you losing the production with his ability to throw the ball down the field, but his leadership as well. It's not easy to replace a leader like that. And again, that's why I would tend to give an advantage to Memphis because of the leader they have in Seth Hennigan. I don't know if there's any other school, any other program in the country that has a quarterback who has started 4 straight years starting from day one as a true freshman. I would imagine there's not. Maybe there is. Somebody's going to need to tell me. What's that?
I got to see somebody show it. And, you know, Greg, and we get I get a little confused, and I think some football people can. There's the quite different. I mean, it's complete different spelling, complete different family. There's the McCowns, and then there was Cade McNown, you know, that played college football.
Guy?
And he was at UCLA, and you know what he was famous for, don't you?
Was he a bust?
No, well, he was, but he got invited to a party at the Playboy Mansion and hit on one of Hef's girlfriends and had to be forcibly removed.
Good Lord.
Boy, bad timing, isn't it?
Not what you want to be known for.
It's a good thing he wasn't rubbed out. I mean, he could easily been rubbed out, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's how you get shown the door. Hitting on Hef. Well, they were all Hef's girlfriends. That should have been his defense.
I would imagine that was during the time when Hef had the 3 You know who I'm talking about? The one that ended up
When was the
marrying-
time Hef didn't have three, Greg?
Well, no, but the three famous
I know,
ones. What's her name? She married the football player from Seattle. He was with the Seahawks.
Married Hank Baskett.
Yes. Hank Baskett, right. What was her name?
I can't remember her
and
name.
the other. There were three blondes, and they were always with Hef. And it's about that time probably when he was at the mansion.
But what a bad deal. You get that invite, you tell all your buddies, and then they check with you a day or two later. How'd it go? I got tossed.
That's not great.
Yeah, come on. You can't go after the top three on Hef's list. Go for somebody a little bit lower. It's still going to be better than whatever you see out there in normal life.
And Greg, you all those teams that got votes right behind the Tigers have to go play all of them on the road.
Right. And that's why, again, Phil Steele, I haven't read all the other magazines. Phil was on Monday. That's why he picked UTSA to win the conference. It wasn't that he thought necessarily UTSA is a better team. In fact, his power rankings, as I just mentioned, have Memphis won. But he looks at that schedule. A lot of people, especially in the media, when they vote, they don't really dissect the schedules that deeply. So it's, Memphis is the best team. All the hubbubs about Memphis, will pick them number one. And I could easily see that. Plus, you have Seth Hennigan back. Like I said, a 4-year starting quarterback. But if you dive deeper into it, you could always say, Memphis has to play the other three top teams along with them, so the top 4 teams. Those other 3 on the road. It is a daunting challenge for a team that is just trying to get into the conference championship game, let alone be the representative from the group of 5 in the playoffs.
Greg, I was pulling for you and hoping that you did have the Tampa Bay Rays since they landed on 13, and I asked Bryant to ask you during the break if you did. Not only do you not have them, you had the Mets that got to a dozen last night. So last bad subject I'm bringing up. We mentioned the Tigers in the road games. Have you been back to the Alamo Dome since that fateful night?
Yeah, we a couple weeks ago you had asked me that, and I said with the Alliance of American Football.
That's right. You sure did. I'm sorry, Greg. You sure did answer that. I'm sorry.
No, but I did. But here's the thing. I didn't.
But you hadn't been there with Memphis Tiger gear on since that night.
No. But that was the game we were going to when they pulled the plug. That was the stadium we were going to when they pulled the plug. Is that right? Yeah. We were going to San Antonio, and they pulled the plug on the league. So it would have been my return. But so technically, I have not been. But we were just about to go to the Alamo Dome, and then you know what happened.
Well, you need to take the Kyrie stuff, the incense, and spray it around in the building when you get there.
That's right. Yeah, because
I know.
Hadn't been.
I know. Don't
been
remind
good
me.
to Memphis.
Don't remind me. The 13-run thing, the Tigers basketball. Come on, Brett. Let's get some good news going here.
Oh, man. Well, speaking of Tiger basketball, it feels like never say never in terms of Penny Hardaway's roster and if he's ever done adding players. But it feels like right now, I think Vieira Tuck, if he signs, he's not signed yet, that would leave 2 open roster spots, if I'm not mistaken. How do you feel about this roster as it stands right now, and do you think we'll see Penny Hardaway make an addition before we start the season?
I had the fortune last week to actually be with Penny Hardaway, to play in his golf tournament in Vegas, to have dinner with him on his birthday. We talked about a number of things that really I can't divulge publicly on the radio, but I think he's probably done. Now, you never say never because you never know what may fall into your lap. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's a guarantee that he's done, but I would guess that he is done with this roster. As far as what this team can do, I have no earthly idea. I have not seen them one time. I've listened to some of these players talk about the chemistry that they're developing. They say it's coming quicker than they even imagined. But whether or not that translates into chemistry on the floor and dubs on the floor, I don't know. I do know this, and we were talking about this on our show this morning, that this conference has only gotten worse. With the loss of SMU, with Florida Atlantic now back to reality, there's no reason why the Tigers shouldn't roll and win the conference every single year. And hopefully it's not too many years and Memphis gets into a power conference and we're talking about something completely different. But as of now, the way it is constructed, this American Conference, and I hate to say it, but I'm not splitting the atom here. People know that this is beyond Memphis. It is not a strong conference. UAB will be competitive. There'll be a couple of other competitive teams, but there's no reason why Memphis, whatever their roster is, shouldn't go in there and win the conference. And I know last year was an absolute disaster. But as far as whether or not these guys will come together, the cohesiveness and the chemistry, and they'll be able to win a bunch of big non-conference games and then roll through the conference, your guess is as good as mine. I like the players individually. We know what they did at their old schools, but it's not. I'll tell you this. Last year, going into the season, I looked at that roster and I said, wow, that could be a second weekend roster. And I wasn't alone in saying that. And they didn't even come close to winning the conference. Well, this year, I look at it and I go, it looks okay. So maybe this year they roll, right? They surprise some people. But, Penny knows what he's doing. He's limited, even with the Smith family donation and Memphis having a little bit more NIL money, I think, than the rest of the conference and the respective schools. It's not unlimited resources. So he's missed out on some of the players that he wanted to get beaten out by Power 5 schools. That's just the facts out there. But again, your guess is as good as mine, Brian, how good this team will be. I want to see him in practice. Obviously, I want to see him early in the year. They'll probably play some name in an exhibition. I don't know. I know they haven't finalized anything as far as that's concerned, but I think maybe that's the trend. We heard the women's news today that they'll play South Carolina in an exhibition game instead of a regular season game. I think Memphis could play a big name as well. I want to see them early on, what they're able to do, and see how good that chemistry is before you can sit there and make a realistic prediction on what they'll do this upcoming season.
The very familiar and friendly voice of Greg Gaston with us from the Tigers sideline, brought to you every week by Jim's Place Collierville, Mount Moriah Auto Sales, the law offices of Stephen Leffler, and Neil's Bar and Grill. Greg, I hate to put you in a spot of divulging anything maybe said in private off the record. David Jones did a number on him, didn't he?
I think I can say this, that Petty thought he was coming back.
Yeah.
I think he felt that he was coming back. So when you feel that you're getting back your top scorer, and I think ended up your top rebounder, right, Brian?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken?
Yeah.
Yeah. You lose that, now all of a sudden you got to do the backstroke. You got to look at other options.
With the calendar running against you.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, no question about that. And that's the world we live in right now with collegiate sports and the portal and players saying one thing and changing their mind. I mean, P.J. Carter was just officially announced by the school a couple of days ago. I think the news first came maybe a week ago, whatever the case was. I bring that up is because he had committed to Rice. So Rice thought they had him, and then all of a sudden, boom, Memphis gets P.J. Carter to add to their roster. That's the way it is all around the country. The bigger fish taken from the little small, then the next size fish taken away from the smaller fish. It goes down, and that's the way it is. And if you're able to pluck a big name, then you've accomplished an awful lot. That's why last year was so disappointing when they were able to go out and get Quinterly, and they were able to go out and get Jordan Brown, and then Jordan Brown was a disaster, and Quinterly was good, not great, and the whole Caleb Mills injury, and you guys know the story. Hopefully that won't be the case this year. But yes, Penny had to do a little bit of an about-face, knowing that he wasn't getting David Jones, and seek out other players. And like I said, even though they are in better shape than most of, if not all, the schools now in the conference, now that SMU's moved on to the ACC, it doesn't mean that they're able to get everybody they want, because they haven't been able to do so. And when some of these players are asking for the amounts that they are, I'm talking about guys asking for $2 million or north of $2 million. Think about that for a second. You can't afford that. As much as you want to bring in some of these players, you cannot afford that. So you have to pivot and get the players that you can afford that you still feel are quality. And Memphis has quality players. They just don't have those big names and those high-priced guys that they, I don't want to say struck out on. It's just obvious why they couldn't get those guys, because they didn't have enough of the money. But their roster, compared to, let's say, what Rice, I'll use that example. They just lost a guy to Memphis. Memphis was able to get guys from Tulsa and from Wichita State. So Memphis is plucking the best from inside the conference. That's why there's no question in my mind, and I think this goes for probably everybody out there, that they feel you're the best, you should be winning every year that conference and getting into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. It feels like any day now we could get a bracket for Maui. I think Brett was telling me earlier during a break that last year it was on this day that the Maui bracket came out. So it feels like soon we already know most of the Tigers non-conference slate, but it feels like soon we could know what it will look like in Maui. And obviously, however it shakes out, that will add a couple of more big-time opponents to Memphis' schedule.
No question about it. Look, they play one of those big tournaments to open up the season every single year. I'm just very happy that they're able to play in Maui. That city was absolutely devastated. That whole island, I've been there several times just a few years ago. So basically a year before the fire that devastated Maui. And the fact that they're able to come back and play and they rebuild, they continue to rebuild. There's a long way to go, but I feel very excited about that because it's one of the most beautiful spots in the world. But as far as the basketball itself is concerned, it is a challenge every year. It is a great field. For Memphis, we know how important these non-conference games are. But again, last year, they did a lot of damage in the non-conference and somehow tripped up in conference play. Hopefully that won't be the case, but they really do need to make a statement during the non-conference because that sets you up, assuming that you do your job in conference, that sets you up for a much higher seed. If you struggle non-conference, win your AQ, get into the tournament, but lost a bunch of the non-conference games against good foes, it's not going to help you. You're going to end up being a 9 or a 10 seed, and you want to be as high as you can. So it's extremely important. It's tough because you're starting out the season with a new roster and expecting them to go in there and be clicking on all cylinders against some of the elite programs in the country. But then again, on the flip side, a lot of these programs have a bunch of new players. Maybe not as many as Memphis, but every roster has changed and evolved over the last year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. But Greg, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
Sounds great, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Greg Gaston joining us to talk Tigers like he does every single week. And as always, you can listen to him every single morning on Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli every weekday, 7 to 10 a.m. Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. Usually we talk about what's trending at 5:30, but we're going to go talk some Big Ten Media Days. Stefan Krajisnik, the Ohio State football beat writer for Cleveland.com. He is at Big Ten Media Days. He'll join us to talk about the Buckeyes and everything going on with the Big Ten. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Wash your house, wash your office building? Impossible! Not if you call Wilson's Pro Wash. Your house, fence, driveway, warehouse, store, hotel, even cars and trucks can all be squeaky clean and beautiful after pressure washing by Wilson's Pro Wash. Wilson's specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces, concrete, stone, brick, and mortar, even wood and vinyl siding. Then Wilson's can seal their surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Call Wilson's Pro Wash, 1-524-6799, or online at wilsonsprowash.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Top Gun is the largest indoor range in the Mid-South, but size isn't their only difference. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way from first shot to master marksmanship. Plus, Top Gun is affordable. Gold membership is just $48 a month. That's just $1.60 a day for unlimited range time, free gun rentals with purchase of ammo, and members lounge access. Top Gun 2770 Whitten Road and TopGunMemphis.com. Always shoot with the best. Top Gun Memphis.
Are you ready to ride? Well, we got it covered at Gossett Kia on the bike. Get 41 MPG Highway and 2024 Kia Forte LXS. $199 a month, $37.99 to assign it. 2024 Kia Sportage, $279 a month, $34.99 to assign it. Or how about a 2024 Kia EV9 Lite with 0% APR available for 48 months? Or get 304 EPA estimated range for $389 a month, $49.99 to assigning. All 24-month lease. Plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Call Bobby J. He's ready to put you in your new Kia today. Gossett Kia 1900 Covington Pike online. KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
650 acquisition fee, $20,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Forte RE794-066, MSRP 21,820. Sportage R73-16197, MSRP 28,865. EV9 R60-29,603, MSRP 61,035. Includes all rebates and incentives and PF 695. Includes tax, title, license, registration, and fees. Must finance through Hyundai with approved credit valid through 7/31/24. Dealer stock only.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363. Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Yes, it's building out of the Midtown area. It looks decent right now. I-40 West across the Hernando de Soto Bridge back over into Arkansas there into West Memphis. It's picked up a more volume as expected over here on 40 East from Sycamore View Road as you head out past Germantown Parkway. You got all that heavy traffic headed back towards Fayette County this time of the afternoon. Havenly Showers is your curbless shower specialist. Check out their website for more information on this, havenlyshowers.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back in Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now, the Ohio State football beat writer for Cleveland.com, Stefan Krajisnik, joins us to talk some Buckeyes and Big Ten Media Days. Stefan, thanks so much for joining us. We've got 4 new teams joining the Big Ten. We've got a giant duck on a river. What has been your biggest takeaways from Big Ten Media Days this week?
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on to talk about that. I mean, I think my main takeaway is you're really seeing a conference that's growing a bit in terms of depth, right? Like, it doesn't feel like a conference anymore that relies solely on what Ohio State and Michigan do. Kind of, with the last few years, it's felt like that rivalry game has determined, who was going to win the conference and who was going to have a chance at winning a national championship. And it doesn't feel that way this year just because you add in a team like Oregon who, had all the pieces last year to make a run and couldn't get past Washington. And you think about what Dan Lanning does and kind of what he's been able to do with that roster. They're a team that's, able to add some depth into the Big Ten, especially in a year where, we're not 100% sure, what Michigan looks like in year one post Jim Harbaugh. And then, on top of that, you also had a team like USC that's probably in a similar spot like Penn State where, you feel like you've got a decent coach and a decent roster and you know what you can do, but can you get over that hump and beat, the Michigans, the Oregons, the Ohio States? So they're kind of in that tier 2. Can they make that next step and get into that tier 1? But, at the end of the day, you feel pretty good that you at least have 3 teams this year that can make a run for a conference title and maybe, 3 or 4 teams that can get into the playoff, which goes a long way compared to what you maybe seen from the Big Ten the last few years.
Stefan, in almost any college football take you hear, in no certain order, but you hear these teams mentioned as best rosters: Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, Alabama, and Oregon. Do you subscribe to that those rosters are apart from the next tier?
Yeah, I do. And honestly, going into this preseason, I might even separate those into 2 tiers and have Ohio State and Georgia in a tier of their own. It feels like those 2 teams, either from retention or from what they got from the portal, or even you look at Ohio State with a wide receiver like Jeremiah Smith, who's a true freshman who's already being talked about as, maybe the second best, third best receiver that Ohio State has on its roster. Those two teams and what they were able to do this offseason is kind of what stands out to me the most. And it feels like, at least on paper, you have very few questions about those two teams. Now, does that mean Ohio State or Georgia is going to win the national championship? No, of course not. And I think the expanded playoff makes it a little bit tougher to predict. But when you look at what those two teams have in terms of talent level all throughout the roster, think about, to localize to you guys a little bit, like think about Ohio State going out and getting Quinshon Judkins in the transfer portal. I mean, he's kind of a 1A, 1B situation with Travion Henderson at running back. And that's a guy who was maybe the best running back in the Big Ten, at least top two, or in the SEC, I should say. Now you add him in the Big Ten where he's going to be kind of sharing the backfield with someone. That's the type of roster, reloading and retooling that Ohio State was able to do this offseason. It's right up there with Georgia, I think.
It's frightening. And Stefan, I promise you, all those stories about locker room discontent and Quinshon maybe being at his lineman. And I know you can screenshot anything from any game and maybe see some give and take. You didn't hear any of that stuff for 2 years with Quinshon. That was all a lot of sour grapes after he decided to go to Ohio State. He's a great youngster. You'll love covering him. And Bryant can attest, I've said if Jackson Dart can't win the Heisman Trophy, hope Quinshon does, and I'd be happy for Quinshon and his family. And it's scary that he's in that stable of running backs that was already plenty good enough. Today, why did Dan Lanning feel it seemed like I watched a lot of the media day today and the questions about NIL. Why so defensive when he should have just said, yeah, this is the cost of doing business now in college football?
Yeah, it was interesting, and I guess every coach just kind of operates different ways. I mean, you look at Ohio State this week, Ross Bjork and talking to Ross Dellinger kind of just came out and said, yeah, we've got about $20 million in this roster this year. I think it's something that teams should brag about. I mean, even Sharon Moore from Michigan, he was asked if Michigan's NIL can compare to that $20 million, or if it's close, and he said he didn't know the exact number, or at least he didn't want to say the exact number. I guess every coach just does it different, and I don't really understand why. I would personally, you've seen people come out and talk about Oregon or Georgia or Ohio State and say that those teams bought their rosters and whatnot. Like, if I'm a coach, I'd be like, yeah, of course. I mean, I'm sure there's traits and qualities to guys.
Yeah, and I paid my light bill too.
Yeah, and you could say, hey, this guy, you have to have a certain type of culture. You can't just come to Ohio State for the money. I get that, but a guy like Caleb Downs, a guy like Quinshon Judkins, they have the culture to play at Ohio State because they're guys that are starting running backs, starting safeties at any team in the country, right? Like they'll find ways to fit into that culture just fine. So if I'm a team that's paying players and through NIL and things of that nature, and obviously revenue sharing might change that a little bit, I'm saying, yeah, our collective has a boatload of money, and if you want to come to insert school name here, you can make money. That's going to attract players. You can go through that, usual recruiting analysis of saying, hey, this guy might be a locker room cancer. He might not be worth $3 million. If this guy's a better guy, just as good of a player, and he's worth $2 million, like there's factors to it. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of good college football players who are great people, who are not locker room cancers, but also understand that they come from families where a little bit of money might go a long way for them before they get to the NFL. And I think that's something to market if you're a big-time football program.
Yeah. Stefan, talking about Ohio State and, anywhere you look, anybody you listen to, a lot of high hopes and expectations for Ryan Day's team this year. What would you say is the biggest question mark about this team going into the fall?
Well, I think it's the quarterback situation still, which is kind of, weird to think about when you think about the C.J. Strouds and the Justin Fields that have come through. But, the stuff with Nolan McCord or Kyle McCord, it just didn't really, work out as expected. And, he ends up leaving and they end up going on the portal and getting Will Howard from Kansas State. They also have Devin Brown, who's kind of been around the program and been battling for playing time. They also have a freshman who was at Bama, Julian Stain, who transferred in. So you've got 3, maybe 4 guys who can compete for a starting spot. But at the same time, you didn't go out and get Will Howard for no reason, right? And I think he's the favorite to be the starting quarterback right now. And it looks good on paper because he did amazing things at Kansas State. I mean, you look at what he accomplished in the Big 12 for a team like Kansas State, that it doesn't maybe have the loaded roster that a Texas or an Oklahoma does. I mean, he did great things. He put up really impressive numbers. I think he's a really good quarterback, but you haven't played in the pressure of the Ohio State, right? Like you haven't played with a bunch of guys who are talented, which on paper looks fun, but also you got to spread out the ball. You got to make people happy when you're playing with a talented roster like that. I think there's some challenges for him, but I think he's a guy that I'm saying if it clicks for him and he does what he does at Kansas State with the talent that he has at Ohio State, he's a guy that can be a Heisman frontrunner. And I don't just say that just to say it. I mean, you look at the betting odds. He's like the 5th favorite to win the Heisman because I think people know if he's the starter at Ohio State, he's going to put up good numbers and he's going to have a chance to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Stefan Krajisnik, our guest on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. He covers the Ohio State Buckeyes for Cleveland.com. Have you done the big feature, the big profile on the new AD at Ohio State, Ross Bjork? And with you coming from the Daily Journal and the Clarion Ledger and him from Ole Miss, did y'all have the secret Egg Bowl handshake?
I haven't gotten the chance to do the big feature yet, but I did meet him here in Indianapolis for Big Ten Media Days, and it was great to talk to him. And we talked a bit about Mississippi and me coming from Starkville and him from Oxford, and we both almost at the same time. Someone was like, "What do you guys miss about Mississippi?" And both of us at the same time said the fried catfish. So he found his way around. He knows. He knows what's true still in Mississippi, that's for sure.
You didn't say humidity and mosquitoes?
I'll tell you what. I was out in Starkville. It was like a Saturday night or something there in July, and I came back, man, and my legs were bit up. I was thinking to myself, there's a lot I love about Mississippi, but there's certain things I guess you won't miss, and the mosquitoes, I'm good with them staying south and not coming up north with me.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you at all for that. When you look at the new teams coming into the Big Ten, Washington, Oregon, USC, and UCLA, I think a lot of hype with Oregon, but those other 3 teams, who has the most success? Who is able to kind of fit in the Big Ten this year among among Washington, USC, and UCLA?
Well, it feels like this year USC is the team that kind of has the best chance to be the second best out of those 4. I just think Lincoln Riley's a bit more established than some of the other coaches. I think at quarterback they're in a pretty good spot, and you kind of know what you're going to get from that offense. Is that offense maybe going to slow down a little bit in the Big Ten? Sure, but you have a pretty good understanding of what they're going to be, at least offensively, and we'll see, what their defense looks like after being, just horrible last year and having to do a complete, revamping of that staff. But for the long term, I'm kind of curious of, can Lincoln Riley build USC to a spot where they're consistently competing, for those top 3-4 spots in the Big Ten, or is Washington going to kind of get back to what they were under Kalen DeBoer? I don't think the coach they got from Arizona is as good as Kalen DeBoer, but he did some pretty good things at Arizona, and Arizona's a top 25 team coming into the season because of what he did there. If he can get things rolling the way he did at Arizona, you have more resources and more history at Washington to be able to have success. So it almost seems like they're being slept on just because of what they lost in Mike Penix and Kalen DeBoer. You kind of forget about them a little bit, and you think to yourself, you're like, I mean, Washington's got a really deep history. They got a really good football program. They got a lot of money. They're in a big city, decent market where you can go out and get some recruits there on the West Coast. I'm interested to see what the future of Washington in the Big Ten looks like, because I think they could be the team that's up there with Oregon that kind of, establishes itself in the Big Ten a bit.
The Ryan Day hot seat in jeopardy, job jeopardy, that's crazy talk, isn't it? And I thought we had the market on crazy in the South in coaching moves.
It feels like it. It feels like it. I just, for a variety of reasons, I don't know how many coaches there are out there that are going to put Ohio State in a better spot than Ryan Day has. There's a lot of coaches that could come into Ohio State and get a ton of talent because you're Ohio State and you're going to get a ton of talent. But, when I look at coaches across the country, I'm not really sure if you fire Ryan Day, what many better options are. I also think, he's lost like 8 games in his 5 or 6 seasons at the helm for Ohio State. Like he's been winning a ton. He just, as the last few years kind of can't seem to get that one play. Think about how close they were against Georgia. Last year, they lose against Michigan. It comes down to the final possession. They're close, and it feels like this year they kind of need to get over that hump. Now, if they don't win it all this year, or if they lose to Michigan again, and that's not, losing to Michigan is not something people like to hear in Columbus. If those two things happen, then it's something that maybe you have a bit of a conversation. I just don't see a world in which Ross Bjork comes in and within his first 12 months of being athletic director of Ohio State, he fires a coach who has, let's say, 9 or 10 losses in 6 years. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see how the Big Ten plays out this year. But, Stephon, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon, and let's do this again soon.
Of course. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks, Stephon.
Thank you, Stephon, so much. Thank you very much. I agree with Stephon. Just no way Ross is going to do that after year one, especially as patient as the long game he played with Jimbo in Aggieland.
Yeah, no, it would be definitely weird if after everything that happened at A&M, you saw such a quick move at Ohio State. But I am excited about Big Ten football this year with those schools coming in, specifically Oregon and what they could do with all the hype surrounding them this year. But let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
For retro cruiser styling packed with modern innovations, riders of all skill levels choose a Honda Rebel. Incredible motorcycles with a stripped-down style and a full package of features. Both the 300 and the 500 offer compact power inside a lightweight frame. Combined with a low slim seat, the Rebel is easy to start on. And with new colors for this year, they are impossible to ignore. Go to DeSoto Honda to check out the 2023 Honda Rebels. Cruisers with timeless style and performance to enjoy every second. Never use the street as a racetrack with a long video.
There are many real estate companies out there, but then there's Banyan Tree Realtors on the Tigerville Town Square. There are hands-on, family-owned boutique real estate companies whose agents have been offering exceptional attention to their clients for over 40 years. In an ever-changing world, Banyan Tree continues to maintain a small-town personal charm while providing a worldwide connection through its internet marketing presence. Personal service will never go out of style at Banyan Tree Realtors. Their agents are people you can trust, offering service you deserve. From residential homes to commercial properties, farmland, land lots, and historical houses, Banyan Tree has the expertise you can rely on. So if you're downsizing, upsizing, moving in, or moving on, give Banyan Tree Realtors a call today. Craig Smith and Mary Jean Smith and their agents are ready to serve you. Call today at 901-620-8920 or 901-359-2520.
If you love sports and Mexican food, you can get the best of both at Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill on Summer near Graham. Watch all the big games on all the big TVs on all the walls at Los Cabos. And enjoy premium tequila shots anytime for just $5.50. Celebrate every day with lunch specials from 10 to 3 and happy hour from 3 to 8. Lunch is just $6.75 to $10.99 and margaritas start at $3.99. Experience real Mexican cuisine along with great sports at Los Cabos on Summer near Graham.
I think a lot about golf, and when I think golf, I think Miramichi. Did you know Miramichi Golf Course offers membership? It's a great way to play more golf for less out of pocket. Their memberships run for $300 a month plus tax, and that includes unlimited rounds and range balls, no extra card fees, priority tee time booking, and discounts in the pro shop. Oh, by the way, there's no initiation fee. Miramichi green fees, they'll allow you to choose the right rate at the right time on the right day for your needs. If morning tee times are more more important, you can book up to 14 days ahead of time to reserve your spot. If rate is more important to you, there are discounted evening rates available that you can choose from. You'll find the lowest rates on Tuesday through Thursday afternoons. Sometimes you just need to escape the hustle and bustle of life. Miramichi Golf Course provides just the right place to solve that need. The name Miramichi means place of happy retreat. When you need a quiet, peaceful round of golf, please make your way to Miramichi.
Keep it twisted all year long with a Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Twisted Tea is real iced tea that packs a punch with 5% alcohol. Tastes great at the beach, the mountains, or even in your backyard. Look for the bright yellow Twisted Tea flavors. Responsibly.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the babies crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, high school.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Brett, what I learned today, I learned actually a couple of things, but I had one written down and then the other I learned during the show that I want to add. It was announced yesterday that incoming Duke freshman, and Keith did a much better job pronouncing his name than I will, Kaman Malache made the South Sudan Olympic roster at 17 years old. Just incredible to see. He participated with NBA Academy Africa and was a top 10 recruit before signing with Duke. Obviously a part of the number 1 Duke class that features Cooper Flagg along with some other great prospects. Like I mentioned, 17 years old. He is the youngest Olympian basketball player since Ricky Rubio in 2008, which is just really, really impressive. The other thing I learned today, our friend David Cobb mentioned that he was going to be working on this and that it was going to be up on CBS sports.com later in the week. It's officially up there, but all of the Olympic team rosters and where guys on their teams went to college. Number 1 on the list is Kentucky. Not a big surprise when you look at the names on these teams. But Brett, care to guess who number 2 is? This surprised me. This really surprised me who number 2 on the list. And it's tough. I would have never in a million years guessed this would be number 2 on the list.
Miami?
Iowa State.
Wouldn't have got it.
Would have never guessed Iowa State. 5 players from Iowa State are on an Olympic roster. After that, Gonzaga has 4 representing, Duke has 3, and St. Mary's also has 3. After that, it's 2 or under. So definitely some good stuff from David Cobb. Go check that out on CBS Sports. He breaks it down, every roster, the exact player, and where they went to college. So especially if you're a college basketball fan, it'll be fun to see a lot of these names that you probably remember from their college days.
Every dream that David Stern had about the globalization of the NBA with Dream Team 92, I think personified by the 17-year-old player going to Duke on South Sudan.
Definitely.
I mean, it worked, and his plan played out almost perfectly. What I learned today is getting real close to, I hope, a normal Olympics. 2020 was anything but normal. We barely got Tokyo in finally in 2021. There will be stories over the next 2+ weeks that we can't imagine. Stars will be born. NBC, they have it down telling the stories. At one time, ABC was the network of the Olympics. CBS, they were involved some, mostly winter, but it's been NBC's identity.
No, it absolutely has. And tomorrow we've got opening ceremonies, which will be a ton of fun to watch. What I could have done without it's being reported within the last hour, I believe, trying to look and see if I can get a specific time of when I saw this tweet. Frank Bonner, who covers Memphis football for the Daily Memphian, 28 minutes ago at 5:24 is reporting that Memphis Deputy Athletic Director Jeff Crane is leaving the program for South Carolina, according to a source. Obviously, Jeff Crane in the running for the athletic director job that ultimately went to Ed Scott, but Jeff Crane has been a massive part of the stadium rebuild project. He was there Monday, kind of talking to media and kind of being the head of the presentation when the construction started. So this is definitely a big loss for the athletic department, and now we'll have to look to somebody else to kind of be the head of this stadium renovation project.
He did a great job. I know he wanted the job. He's got SEC roots.
Yep.
I really kind of thought he might go with Laird as a lieutenant there, but back to the SEC at South Carolina. But Jeff Crane, great job with a lot of friends here.
Absolutely.
For sure. Could have done without Matt Rule saying the Big Ten deserves 4 teams in the college football playoff. No conference, not the SEC, not the Big Ten, not anyone deserves anything. Go win it. Make it, it without dispute that you need to be in. I wonder if Matt Rule would want 12 at-large teams or what he really preferred then.
Yeah, that's a good question. I loved what he said. He said this is the NFL of college football, talking about the Big Ten. And so, I mean, hey,
But no deserves, though. Earn it.
Earn it. You're absolutely right. Go out there and make them put you in that 12-team playoff. Where are you beaming tonight?
To Paris for all the festivities. Yeah. Love the Summer Olympics. As I said earlier, not so much Winter Olympics because winter, and I hate winter. Give me our humidity over scraping a windshield any day of the week.
Okay.
And the idea of somebody gifting me or me having to go buy a snowblower, no way.
Yeah, no thank you. I'm good on the snowblower, the shovels to shovel off
gloves.
The ice. Yeah, gloves. Yeah. Hey,
I don't want any of it.
You'll need it all at the Winter Olympics. I can guarantee you that. Really not much going on tonight in the
Only
sports
2 games
world.
in baseball.
Only 2 games in baseball, and really outside of that, not much else happening in the sports world. So I guess beam me to this Braves-Mets game tonight. 2 teams going in different directions. Mets have been playing extremely well as of late. On the other hand, Braves cannot catch a break when it comes to injuries and have been struggling since the All-Star break. We'll see what happens there. That game gets started here in about 10 minutes. But I'm right there with you. Beam me to Paris for that opening ceremony tomorrow. Really excited to see how that looks.
Suddenly, the very relevant Mets, Braves need a win. It's slipping away from them because of the injuries. A's and Angels late, and more bad news for Mike Trout. And here's that number in his career, in the playoffs, in the postseason. 1 for 12, 1 home run, 1 RBI.
Crazy.
That's just been wasted.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I hate it every time. It feels like every time you look up, something's going on injury-wise with him. He just cannot catch a break his entire career, really, when it comes to injuries. But that's all the time we have today. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous. A legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
All 650 acquisition fee, $20,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte RE794066, MSRP 21820, Telluride RG543666, MSRP 39835, EV9 R602 29603, MSRP 61035. Includes all rebates and incentives and PF 695. Includes tax, title, license, registration, and fees. Must finance through Hyundai with approved credit valid through 7/31/24. Dealer stock only.
I got Jeff Allen on the line, Gossett Kia, South Mount Moriah. Hey, dude, you ready to rock our world?
You better believe it, Randy. How about 41 MPG Highway in a 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $199 a month, $37.99 due at signing. 2024 Kia Telluride S, $379 per month, $39.99 due at signing. And 304 EPA estimated range for $389 a month in a 2024 Kia EV9 Lite, or get 0% for 48 months, $49.99 due at signing, all 24-month leases.
Plus, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll